Chapter 105. When everyone was out of the valley, Luli threw the animal tooth pendant into the blood pond. The blood in the blood pond tumbled and tumbled for the time it took for one incense stick to burn before it stopped. When the sky turned dark, Luli personally watered the dozens of blood caterpillar grasses. After that, he didn't go back. Instead, he meditated in the wooden hut and waited to observe. Luli didn't go back either. He was nervous. If the animal tooth pendant was really useful and the blood caterpillar grasses could be grown and sold for Xian crystals, he could get a lot of resources. The two of them meditated in the wooden hut for an entire night. Just as dawn broke, the two of them went to the medicinal field to take a look. The two of them saw a shocking scene. The dozens of blood caterpillar grasses all had 4 leaves. There were only 4 leaves of regular blood caterpillar grasses in the farm, but there were 6 leaves of blood caterpillar grasses at the Blood Evil Island. This was why people didn't think this place was suitable for growing blood caterpillar grasses. Right now, these dozens of blood caterpillar grasses actually grew another 4 leaves and became 8-leaf blood caterpillar grasses. Moreover, these dozens of blood caterpillar grasses were glowing with red light. They were full of vitality and had clearly grown taller. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Luli didn't know much about blood caterpillar grass, so he touched his nose and asked. She said nervously, "You have to ask Grandpa 7. He has been to the Blood Evil Island several times to see the blood caterpillar grasses. He knows the most about the blood caterpillar grasses. Call him here, but remember not to reveal my secret." With that said, Luli left the valley at once and asked someone to invite all the patriarchs over. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the 7th elder brought people over. When they saw the dozens of blood caterpillar grass, they were all shocked. The 7th elder looked carefully and asked, "Patriarch, how did you do it?" Luli looked at Luli and said, "It is all thanks to Luli. He has a secret powder. He wants to keep it a secret, so he cannot tell you." Medicinal powder? Patriarch 7 and the others had a whole new level of respect for Luli. Previously, when Lu Ling saved the Lu family, they didn't think much of it. But now, they were looking at Luli as if he was a bodhisattva who came to their rescue. Luli paused and asked Patriarch 7, "Grandpa 7, do you think there's anything wrong with these blood caterpillar grasses? Could it have mutated? Would there be any results then? I don't even dare to water the rest of the blood caterpillar grass now. I'm afraid I'll ruin all the blood caterpillar grass." Patriarch 7 took some people with him to have a look, but he was also not sure. After all, they had never planted blood caterpillar grass before. No one knew if the blood caterpillar fruits produced were problematic. The 7th patriarch and several other patriarchs discussed for a while and decided to build another blood pool. Then, they would water the blood caterpillar grasses separately. Half of the blood was improved by Luli and the other half was regular blood. In this way, if something went wrong, they wouldn't completely destroy the blood caterpillar grasses. Everyone busied themselves. The 7th elder gave a death order. Other than the elders and a few disciples of the Xian realm who knew about this, no one else was allowed to spread the news. Otherwise, they would be killed without question. The 7th elder also let the 2 elders take turns to guard the medicinal field, and no one was allowed to approach. If the other half of the blood caterpillar grasses could bear high-quality blood caterpillar fruits and the Blood Dragon Island knew about it, the consequences would be unimaginable. There were so many people in the Blood Evil gang, and all of them depended on the blood caterpillar grass to survive. If they knew that the Lu family could grow blood caterpillar grasses of higher quality, it was needless to say that they would turn hostile and fight for it. After all, blood caterpillar grasses were the lifeline of the Blood Evil Brotherhood. Therefore, the news could not be leaked. Luli had made a great contribution. Luli took the opportunity to ask Patriarch 7 to send someone to buy some fire jade spars. Even though the request was somewhat baffling, and the Lu family was in dire need of Xian crystals, Patriarch 7 immediately sent someone to the Goddown Island to buy them when he heard that Luli wanted it. For the past few days, apart from going back to sleep, eat and bathe, Luli and Lu-yi spent all their time in the medicinal field. Every few days, when the blood in the blood pool was used up and new blood was poured in, Luli would take out the animal tooth pendant and throw it in. However, when Luli was doing this, nobody was allowed to be in the valley except for Lu-yi. This was Lu-li's secret formula. Time passed by. The blood caterpillar grasses watered by Lu-li's improved blood were growing better and better. After 7 days, they bore fruit ahead of schedule, 3 days earlier than expected. The other half of the blood caterpillar grasses hadn't borne fruit yet. Judging by the situation, it would take at least another 5 or 6 days. Looking at the numerous fruits that looked like red bugs, Lu-yi's face was filled with a radiant smile. She looked at the blood caterpillar fruits as if they were her own children. Her eyes were filled with love. 2 days later, the blood caterpillar fruits fell to the ground. Each of them was as thick as a middle finger and twisted like a small snake. Patriarch 7 and the others were even more excited because the fruits were bigger than those at the Blood Evil Island. They were dark red in color with a faint red glare. They looked pretty good. Brother 7, let's go to the Goddown Island tomorrow and find someone to appraise and sell them? Patriarch 9 clenched his fists and said with excitement. Lu-li coldly said, sell them at the Goddown Island? Do you want us all to die? Patriarch 9's expressions changed. He thought that Lu-li was targeting him. He was about to say something when Patriarch 7 waved his hand and said, Lu-li is right. We cannot sell the fruits at the Goddown Island. We cannot even let people nearby know. If we want to sell them, we will sell them at the Heaven Prison Island. Yes. Lu-yi came to her senses. Patriarch 9 calmly thought about it and no longer argued. He understood what Lu-li meant. The blood caterpillar grasses were the lifeblood of the Blood Evil Brotherhood. The Blood Evil Brotherhood could not know that the Lu family had grown good blood caterpillar fruit. Once the fruits appeared at the Goddown Island, the Blood Evil Brotherhood would know immediately. Patriarch 9 thought about it and raised a question, but the Heaven Prison Island is so far away. We can't go there by boat. We are safe at the Goddown Island. If we go outside, we will be intercepted and killed. The only way to get to the Heaven Prison Island is by boat at the Goddown Island or by teleportation formation. The former will take too much time, but the latter will cost a lot of Xian crystals. Lu-li knew about the Heaven Prison Island. It was the largest and most prosperous island in the Thousand Island Lake. It was also the island where the most powerful warrior of the Thousand Island Lake, the Old Man of Heaven Prison, lived. The Heaven Prison Island was in the middle of the Thousand Island Lake. It would take a month to go there and back by boat. There was a small teleportation formation at the Goddown Island that could take people to the Heaven Prison Island, but one trip would cost a lot of Xian crystals. Take the teleportation formation? Patriarch 7 thought about it and said with his teeth clenched, only 2 of us will go. Let the family patriarch and Lu-li go. If this batch of fruits can be sold at a good price, then the Xian crystals will be well spent. In the future, the Lu family will not be short of Xian crystals anymore. We will go? Lu-yi and Lu-li looked at each other in surprise. They were asked to go for such an important matter? Why was Patriarch 7 so assured? Patriarch 9 and the other patriarchs were astonished. Shouldn't Patriarch 7 be the one to go? What if they messed it up? What if the 2 of them were targeted and killed when they went out? Patriarch 7 explained, we old guys often go to the Goddown Island. We will be recognized easily. If the scouts of the Blood Evil Island know that we are going to the Heaven Prison Island, will they be suspicious? If there is a batch of blood caterpillar fruits of high quality at the Heaven Prison Island, will they think of us at once? Patriarch 7 paused for a bit. He looked at Lu-li and Lu-yi and continued, Family Patriarch and Lu-li will not be suspected. They have never been to the Goddown Island. They can disguise themselves as young masters and young ladies of wealthy families and squander Xian crystals to take the teleportation formation. It will not arouse too much suspicion. We are just a bunch of old guys with such little power. How can we be so extravagant to take the teleportation formation? People will be suspicious if we do that. Also, even if they are known by the Blood Evil Island, we can explain that they sneaked out to the Heaven Prison Island for fun. It is understandable that young people are not sensible. As for safety, there is no need to worry. No violence can be used at the Goddown Island and the Heaven Prison Island. They will be fine if they keep a low profile. Chapter 106. 500 fruits were not a lot. They could be packed into a small bag. Lu Yi and Lu Li put on some disguises. Lu Yi covered her face with a veil and put on a gorgeous robe. Lu Li put on a shiny armor and a helmet to disguise himself as Lu Yi's escort. Patriarch 7 asked a patriarch who rarely went out to take several warriors of the Xian Wu realm to send the two to the Goddown Island on a battleship. The Goddown Island was much more magnificent than the Sundown Island. Everybody could get on the island. Lu Li and Lu Yi got off the battleship and walked directly to the island. They arrived at the Goddown city in an hour. The city was magnificent, much bigger than the Wuling County. There were many civilians in the city, at least more than 100,000 people. The streets were crowded with carriages and horses. Escorts of the Goddown Island could be seen outside the city gate and on the street. They were all wearing shiny armors. Every team was led by warriors at the later stage of the Spirit Sea realm. The Goddown Island deserved its reputation as a fourth-rank force with many powerful warriors. Following Patriarch 7's orders, Lu Li rented a luxurious carriage after they got into the city and went to a luxurious tavern. Then he wandered around the busy streets for the whole afternoon. Lu Yi was having a good time. Lu Li, on the other hand, was looking around carefully to see if anyone was following them. The Goddown city was so big and so prosperous. There were many strange things in the city, many of which Lu Li had never seen before. It was an eye-opener for Lu Yi and Lu Yi. What impressed them the most was the number of warriors in the city. There were so many warriors in the city. Spirit Sea Realm warriors could be seen everywhere. They even met several warriors of the Soul Pond realm. When it was dark, Lu Li and Lu Yi took action. They went to the plaza in the middle of the city and walked directly to an ancient teleportation altar surrounded by many warriors. This is the teleportation formation. Lu Li's eyes glowed. To get to the Central Plains, they had to take the teleportation formation. To find Lu Ling at the Cyan Plains, they had to take the teleportation formation as well. This was the first time that Lu Li had seen a teleportation formation. Stop! Before they got close, the escorts of the Goddown Island surrounded them. A middle-aged man at the later stage of the Spirit Sea realm looked at them with caution and said, "You cannot get close here. Leave." Lu Yi said nothing. Lu Li stepped forward and said, "My lady wants to take the teleportation formation. She wants to go to the Heaven Prison Island. Is there a problem?" "Oh." The middle-aged warrior glanced at them and said, "No problem, but one person needs 1,000 Xian crystals. 2,000 Xian crystals could buy a lot of spiritual materials and elixirs." The price of taking the teleportation formation was indeed sky-high. Lu Li didn't mind at all because it wasn't his Xian crystals that were being spent. He took out a bag of Xian crystals he had prepared, threw it over and said, "Activate the teleportation formation." The middle-aged warrior took the mystic crystal but didn't activate the transmission formation. Instead, he asked, "Which family are you from? Do you have an identity token?" Lu Yi was shocked, but Lu Li didn't change his expression. He said coldly, "So many words? Are you guys going to teleport? If you don't hand over the Xian crystals, we won't be sitting here. Are you suspecting that we are going to the Heaven Prison Island to mess around?" Lu Li's last sentence worked. The middle-aged warrior let down his guard. What was the Heaven Prison Island? Who dared to mess around on the Heaven Prison Island? Even the disciples of the 5 royal clans would not have the guts to do so. Activate the teleportation portal. Lu Li's attitude made the middle-aged warrior think that Lu Yi was a young lady of a big family, and he was afraid that asking too many questions would make him a sinner. He waved his hand. The more than a dozen warriors nearby clapped their hands and poured Xian energy into the teleportation altar. At the same time, they took out some crystals and inserted them into the grooves of the altar. Lu Li and Lu Yi walked in. They were expressionless, but inside they were nervous. Neither of them had taken the teleportation formation before. They were afraid that if something went wrong, they would be strangled to death. Buzzing. The teleportation formation glowed. Then the light shot up to the sky and lit up the entire plaza. Many people were alarmed. They looked over with curiosity, trying to see which big shot it was. Those who could take the teleportation formation were not average people. Many people looked over, only to find that it was 2 young people. One of them was a young lady with a veil on. However, they only caught a glimpse before the glow of the teleportation formation drowned them completely. Then the 2 disappeared into the teleportation formation. The plaza became noisy. Many people were guessing which family the young lady was from. Who else but a young lady of a big family dared to squander 2,000 Xian crystals to take the teleportation formation? In a teleportation formation at the plaza of the Heaven Prison City, a ray of light came out. 2 people appeared. Then their legs became weak. They knelt down in the teleportation formation and started to retch. The 2 felt dizzy just now. It was as if they had spun around for tens of thousands of times. They almost passed out. As soon as they landed, their stomachs started to churn. They could not help but retch. Luckily, the 2 had dinner a long time ago. Otherwise, they would have vomited all over the place. Squeak, squeak, little white, which was hiding in Lu Li's robe, was fine. It stuck out half of its head and screamed with concern. Lu Li was worried about little white staying at the Blood Dragon Island, so he had been taking it with him. Are you done? If you are, leave now. A cold voice rang out. The 2 of them looked up and saw a group of gray-armored cultivators staring at them coldly. Lu Li sensed the qi and energy of the warrior who spoke. He was shocked. It was a warrior of the Soul Pond realm. The Heaven Prison Island was really powerful. How could warriors of the Soul Pond realm guard the teleportation formation? Lu Li tried his best to hold back the urge to vomit. He asked Little White to hide. Then he helped Lu Yi up and walked out. Looking forward, Lu Li was shocked again. There were many huge stone fortresses in front of them. Every one of them was more than 100 feet high and more than 1,000 feet wide. They were magnificent and imposing. Lu Yi felt better after they walked for a bit. Her veil had been taken off, but her face was still pale. Let's find a tavern to take a rest, Lu Li said in a low voice. Lu Yi nodded. It was already nightfall. They would have to wait until tomorrow to sell the blood caterpillar fruit. The 2 looked around and found a big castle with the words, Heaven Prison Tavern, written on it. They looked around and found that there was only one tavern. They had to walk towards that castle. The waiter was very polite. His smile was like a spring breeze. Lu Li and Lu Yi were shown to the counter. A fat tavern keeper said with a smile, Do you want to check in? Do you want heaven grade, earth grade, or human grade? Lu Li casually said, Give me 2 heaven grade rooms. Okay. The tavern keeper smiled and said, That will be 300 Xian crystals in total. What? Lu Li and Lu Yi thought they heard it wrong. Lu Yi asked in disbelief, How much did you say? 300 Xian crystals? Are you sure it is Xian crystals and not golden leaves? It was just staying in a tavern. How could they need Xian crystals? Or 300? It only cost them 2,000 Xian crystals to take the teleportation formation. The tavern keeper was still smiling. He explained, All the taverns in the Heaven Prison City need Xian crystals. This is the Heaven Prison City, the royal city of the Thousand-Island Lake. If you want to spend golden leaves to stay in a tavern, that is not possible. Golden leaves are basically useless in the Heaven Prison City. Most of the taverns use Xian crystals. The waiter's attitude was good. He didn't laugh at the two just because they came from a small place. He added, "There is a Xian gathering formation in our Heaven grade rooms. The cultivation speed can be increased by 5 times. That is why we need so many Xian crystals." 5 times? No wonder. Lu Li and Lu Yi were embarrassed. Lu Li said apologetically, "I am sorry. We are from a small place. We don't know the rules. How many Xian crystals do you need for human grade rooms?" The tavern keeper still answered politely, 20 Xian crystals for 1 night. You can cultivate twice as fast in there. Also, our men can provide you with any information about the Heaven Prison City for free. Of course, it is all basic information. Information? Lu Li and Lu Yi's eyes lit up. They knew nothing about the Heaven Prison City. They knew nothing. If they could get some basic information, such as where to sell blood caterpillar fruits, they wouldn't be cheated. Lu Li, just 1 room. Chapter 107. They booked a room and were shown to a room on the 2nd floor by the waiter. The decoration of the room was very luxurious, no worse than the rain-listening pavilion of the Lu family. The floor was covered with a pure white fur carpet. An oil lamp lit up the entire room. The most important thing was that after they got in, the waiter opened the inhibition formation. Spiritual qi in the room was much richer. Even breathing in the room was comfortable. The room was neither too big nor too small. There was only a bed, a table and a small bathroom. The waiter served them tea. Lu Li quickly asked, "Brother waiter, are there any special rules in the Heaven Prison City? For example, if you break the rules, you will be caught and killed. You cannot use force." The waiter explained with a smile, "If you have any disputes, you can go to the battleground outside the city. You cannot use force in the city. Even if you are at the peak of the eternal realm, you will still die if you dare to fight in the city." The waiter thought about it and said, "Also, you cannot steal or cheat. If you are caught by the Heaven Prison Army, you will be locked up. Other than that, it is safe in the Heaven Prison City. If someone comes looking for trouble for no reason, you can shout. Soon, the Heaven Prison Army will come. Even if they are powerful warriors at the Fate Wheel Realm or the Eternal Realm, you will be fine as long as you are reasonable." "That's right." Lu Li nodded. The law in the city was strict. Staying here made people feel safe and secure. Of course, Lu Li also knew that the safety of the city was based on the reputation of the Old Man of Heaven Prison. Without the Old Man of Heaven Prison, how could the city not be in chaos? Just like the Wu Ling County where the Lu family was the overlord, they were also attacked by several families. Then Lu Li asked some more questions. It seemed to be casual, but he got a lot of information. The waiter here was of high quality. He was not impatient. Instead, he kept answering with a smile. His words were sincere, making people feel like they were bathing in the spring breeze. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Lu Li let the waiter leave. He had basically understood the situation. Lu Yi had been sitting there coldly without saying anything. After the waiter left, she asked, "Lu Li, where are we going to sell the blood caterpillar fruits tomorrow?" From the waiter, they learned that there were 2 places to sell the blood caterpillar fruit. The first one was the auction house. The price was higher, but it would take a longer time. After all, it was not an auction every day. Moreover, it would be easy for their identities to be exposed. There were many people in the auction house, and various powers were paying attention to them. Perhaps on the first day of the auction, people would know that they were the sellers on the second day. The second method was to sell it to the Chamber of Commerce. The price would definitely be lower. After all, the Chamber of Commerce wanted to earn the middle price. However, it can be sold immediately, and the Chamber of Commerce will not expose your information, so outsiders will definitely not know. Luli didn't think for long. He looked up and said, "Go to the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce. I'd rather lower the price, but you must make sure that the information is not leaked." The Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce belonged to the Old Man of Heaven Prison's family, the overlord of the Thousand Island Lake. The Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce was rich. Why would they be interested in some blood caterpillar fruits? If they sold the blood caterpillar fruits to other chambers of commerce, once the news got out, the Blood Dragon Island might be besieged to fight for their secret recipe of cultivating high-quality blood caterpillar fruit. Obtaining this secret recipe would mean obtaining an endless supply of Xian crystals. Many forces would definitely be jealous. Take the Blood Evil Island for example. If the Blood Evil Brotherhood didn't have so many powerful warriors, other families and forces would have attacked and occupied it. For example, the Sundown Island's silkworm rearing secret recipe. If it were not for the protection of the Goddown Island, there would definitely be clans who coveted it. Obtaining this secret recipe was equivalent to obtaining endless Xian crystals. Okay. Lu Yi trusted Luli. She knew the situation of the Lu family. They were too weak. One wrong move and the Lu family could be wiped out. After the matter was settled, the two of them had nothing to do. Luli found it awkward after sitting for a while, so he simply sat on the ground with his legs crossed and prepared to cultivate. A man and a woman were alone in a room. There was a faint virgin fragrance coming from Lu Yi, which inevitably made Luli restless. He felt the atmosphere was a bit romantic, so it was awkward. Lu Yi was also embarrassed. Seeing that Luli had started to meditate, she got up and walked into the bathroom after sitting for a while. Luli wanted to cultivate, but when he heard that Lu Yi went to the bathroom, his mind was in a mess. He could not meditate at all. After a while, there came the sound of water splashing in the bathroom. Luli's breaths were short. There was only one curtain in the bathroom, which meant that as long as Luli got up and lifted the curtain, he could see a beauty taking a bath. Thinking of Lu Yi's slim body, a picture of a beauty coming out of the bath with blood spurting out came to Luli's mind. His breathing and heartbeat became faster and faster. Luli was about to turn 16. He was at the age of vigor and vigor. Inevitably, he had some fantasies and longing for the body of the opposite sex. If it were any other time, it would have been fine. But now, he had to think more. The most important thing was that he knew the attitude of the Lu family and Lu Yi. As long as he was willing, they could consummate their marriage tonight. He was very important to the Lu family now, and it seemed that Lu Yi did not hate him. While he was thinking, Lu Yi finished her bath. She lifted the curtain and walked out. She had changed into a clean robe. Her hair was still wet and she smelled nice. She looked at Luli. Seeing that Luli's eyes were closed and his face was flushed, her pretty eyes moved. She seemed to have guessed something. She walked over and deliberately walked past Luli slowly. Then she sat on the bed and said in a low voice, "Luli, you go and take a bath as well. You are sweaty after strolling around the Goddown city today." Luli opened his eyes in embarrassment. He pretended that nothing had happened and said, "Okay." Luli took out a clean robe from his bag and walked into the bathroom. As soon as he got in, his eyes widened and he trembled. There was a rack inside where Lu Yi's clothes were hanging. A pink bellyband and underwear were hanging on the top. They were very obvious and glaring. Luli could see them as soon as he got in. Bellybands and underwear were for girls. How could a virgin like Luli ever see something like this? When he passed by a shop that sold bellybands and underwear, he would blush and not dare to take another look. Lu Yi seemed to have remembered it as well. She got up like a gust of wind and rushed into the bathroom. She picked up the changed robe with a blush and ran out. Luli touched his nose. He felt his heart was beating faster and he was breathing faster. He took a quick bath, put on the robe and walked out. He didn't dare to look at Louis. He just sat on the carpet with his legs crossed and said in a deep voice, "Family patriarch, you should get some rest. I just need to cultivate for one night." Louis dried her hair and covered herself with the quilt. She didn't say anything. After the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, she finally plucked up her courage and said, "How about you go to bed and sleep for a while? We are going to sell the blood caterpillar fruits tomorrow. The bed is big. We can sleep on separate beds. It's okay." Boom! Louis felt as if thunder had exploded in his mind. His whole body tensed up and he kept swallowing his saliva. Louis's meaning was very clear. She was inviting Louis to have his way. Restrain, restrain. Louis took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He thought of his parents, who were still in the ice abyss, and Lu Ling, who had gone to the Cyan Plains. Soon, he calmed down. However, what Louis said next made him feel uneasy again. Louis blushed and said, "Well, Louis, you don't have to think too much about it. I will never force you to join the Lu family, and I don't need you to be responsible. From the moment I became the family patriarch of the Lu family, I will never marry anyone in my life." Chapter 108. Louis's words were sincere. That was what she thought. She was not in love with Louis, but she didn't hate him. She just felt comfortable with him. Louis had done her a great favor. The Lu family would never be able to repay what Louis and his sister did for the rest of their lives. Patriarch 7 and the others might not feel anything, but Louis herself felt she owed Louis a lot. Louis herself said that the day she became the family patriarch, she would never marry anyone in her life. She had made a vow that she would spend her entire life to make the Lu family stronger, to avenge Lu Rufeng, and to destroy the Yu family. She knew very well how cruel and dirty the world was. She was the family patriarch of the Lu family. She might sacrifice her virginity for the Lu family. If so, she might as well save her first time for a man she somewhat liked. More importantly, Louis had been suffering and tired lately. Not only physically but also mentally. Her beloved grandpa was dead. The glorious Lu family had become a thing of the past. Nobody comforted her. She had to shoulder all the suffering and tiredness by herself. She was 1 year older than Louis. She used to be the most beloved young lady. Her mental endurance was not strong to begin with. Now that she had become the family patriarch, she was under even more pressure. She had to find a place to vent her stress and tiredness. Otherwise, she would be driven crazy. Therefore, tonight, she asked to share a room with Louis without any sense of shame or reservation. She just said such shameful words. She wanted to let it all out, to repay Louis's kindness, and to leave no regrets in her life. However, she was overthinking. She didn't know Louis's real personality. Lu Ling loved reading since she was little. She learned a lot about how to conduct oneself and how to do things from books. She instilled these into Louis. One of them was that a man must be responsible and responsible. Just like what Lu Ling said in the battle at the Delong tribe, to your brothers you could sacrifice yourself. To your loved ones you could give up everything. If he had sex with Louis, then Louis would be his woman, his lover. He would give up everything for his lover. How could he not be responsible? How could he ignore Louis and the Lu family? If he had to worry about the Lu family, how could he join a 5th-rank royal family? How could he go to the Cyan Plains to find Lu Ling? How could he go back to the Lu family to save his parents? Once a person was tied down and bound, his hands and feet would be tied down. The goshawk's legs were tied up, so how could it fly? Louis forced himself to calm down again. After a while, he looked at Louis and said apologetically, "I am sorry, Louis. I still have a knot in my heart. I understand your intentions. Thank you. Rest early, I'm going to cultivate." With that said, Louis closed his eyes and sat down with his legs crossed. He was in a trance right away. Looking at Louis's well-defined face, Lu Yi's eyes dimmed. Tears ran down from the corner of her eyes. She turned around, curled up and soon fell asleep. The next day, Lu Yi woke up very early. Lu Li slept on the carpet for half the night and woke up in a good mood. The two seemed to have forgotten what had happened last night. They looked at each other and smiled. After washing up, they went downstairs to eat something, and then went straight to the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce. It was so easy to find the Heavenly Prison Chamber of Commerce. It was located on the south side of the square in the middle of the city. There was a majestic super castle. The four big characters of the Heavenly Prison Chamber of Commerce could be seen from afar. Temple. Lu Li was surprised to see a temple next to the Heavenly Prison Chamber of Commerce. Lu Yi took a look and explained, "Any city of a certain scale will have a temple. Temples are not only found in the northern desert. It is said that all the cities in the world have temples." "Oh, I see." Lu Li stopped looking at it. They walked towards the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce. There were 3 gates in the distance. There were Heaven Prison army guards outside each gate. "I will go and ask." Lu Li carried the bag with the blood caterpillar fruits in it. He walked to a Heaven Prison army guard and asked, "I want to sell something. Which gate should I go through?" "The gate on the right is for us to enter ourselves. The one in the middle is for the buyers. If you want to sell something, go through the gate on the left. There will be someone there to receive you." The Heaven Prison army guard was very polite. Lu Li thanked him and walked into the small gate on the left with Lu Yi. Inside was a small hall with 2 maids. "Hello, distinguished guest." A beautiful maid greeted them with a smile. Lu Li once again exclaimed that the people of the Heaven Prison City were so polite. He nodded with a smile to return the greeting. The maid asked, "Distinguished guest, do you want to sell your mystical materials?" After Lu Li's confirmation, the maid asked again, "How many Xian crystals do you think your things are worth? We have different people to receive you according to the value of the items." How could Lu Li know how many Xian crystals it was? He didn't even know the quality of the blood caterpillar fruit. Would there be any problems? He thought about it and casually said, "Thousands of Xian crystals." "Okay, this way please. Our chief steward will receive you and give you an estimate of the mystical materials." The maid led the two to a corridor on the left. There were 3 corridors in the small hall. It seemed that according to the price of the treasures on sale, they would be taken to different places. After the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, the 2 arrived at a side chamber. There was a white-haired old man in a black robe sitting there. He should be chief steward by. The 2 sensed him and found that he was a warrior of the Soul Pond realm. They felt respect for him immediately. Chief steward was very polite. Even though he didn't stand up, he had a comfortable smile on his face. He asked the 2 to sit down and asked someone to serve tea. Then he asked, "What kind of mystical materials or treasures do you want to sell?" The Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce is the largest chamber of commerce at the Thousand Island Lake. The price we can offer will definitely satisfy you. Lu Yi looked at Lu Li. Her eyes indicated that she wanted him to make the decision. Lu Li stood up, cupped his fists and said, "Lord Bai, before I sell, I want to make sure of one thing. Is it absolutely safe to sell things here? What I mean is, can we keep our information confidential? Nobody outside knows that we are the ones selling these things?" "Ha ha ha." Chief Steward laughed out loud. He shook his head and said, "Brother, maybe you don't know much about the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce. This is the Chamber of Commerce founded by the old man of the Heaven Prison himself. For more than 2,000 years, nothing went wrong with this Chamber of Commerce, and nothing that could affect its reputation happened. If you don't believe me, you can go out and ask around. We cannot leak any information about our customers. This is the most basic principle of the Chamber of Commerce." Lu Li was completely relieved. He put the package on the table and said, "These are the things we want to sell. Give us a price." The old man opened the package casually and glanced at it. His expression suddenly became solemn. He picked up a blood caterpillar fruit, looked at it and asked, "Brother, this is blood caterpillar fruit?" Luli nodded and said, "Yes, this is our improved blood caterpillar fruit. Its efficacy is much stronger than regular blood caterpillar fruit." Chapter 109. Chief Steward by left in a hurry. Soon, 2 maids came in with some mystical fruits, in case Luli and Lu-Yi were bored waiting. Naturally, the 2 did not hesitate to grab the mystical fruits for free. They gobbled them up. Rustle, rustle, rustle. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, Chief Steward by came back. He did not come back alone. There was a beautiful lady following him. As soon as Lu-Li saw the lady, his eyes were glued to her. Lu-Yi also felt ashamed of her inferiority. The lady was so beautiful. If there was one word to describe her, it would be seductive. The lady did not look old. If one didn't look carefully, she looked like Lu-Yi. However, she gave people the feeling that she was a married lady. Her figure was exaggerated with distinct curve. She was wearing a light red floral dress, which was not too revealing. She didn't try to show off either. Instead, she looked dignified with a gentle smile on the corner of her mouth. However, when Lu-Li and Lu-Yi saw this lady, the word seductive came to their mind. They felt that this lady had seduction hidden in her bones. She didn't need to put on a show. She could be seductive at first glance. This is Madame Yen. She is a senior steward of our Chamber of Commerce. Chief Steward by coughed lightly, which startled Lu-Li. He introduced Lu-Li and Lu-Yi and said with a smile, "We have identified the blood caterpillar fruits you brought. Madame Yen just happened to pass by and said she wants to meet you." Lu-Li and Lu-Yi secretly tried to sense Madame Yan's qi and energy. There could only be 2 explanations. Either Madame Yen had no combat abilities, or her realm was so high that the 2 could not sense her realm. Madame Yen smiled gently, bowed and said, "Nice to meet you, sister." "Nice to meet you too." Madame Yan's aura was so strong that Lu-Yi stood up in a hurry and bowed back. "Nice to meet you, madam." Lu-Li had been looking at Lu Ling's stunning face for years. He was immune to pretty girls. Soon, he regained his composure. He thought about it and realized that the blood caterpillar fruits must be of good quality. Otherwise, Madame Yen wouldn't have come. If so, then he couldn't be too intimate with Madame Yen. Otherwise, it would be hard to ask for a price. He thought about it and nodded lightly. "Nice to meet you, Madame Yen." Lu-Li's indifferent expression and calm tone impressed Madame Yen and Chief Steward Bai. Not many family patriarchs could stay so calm in front of Madame Yen, let alone a young warrior like Lu-Li. Madame Yen reacted quickly. She looked at Lu-Li and said, "We have made a preliminary evaluation of your blood caterpillar fruits. The quality is good. However, further experimentation was needed to determine how much medicinal power it could amplify. That's why I'm preparing to send someone to refine the medicine. I want to see if the final product's medicinal power will increase. As long as the medicinal efficacy can be increased, the price is negotiable. What do you think? It was reasonable that the blood caterpillar fruits were useful or not." Lu-Li asked, "How long will it take?" 4 hours. Madame Yen looked at Chief Steward Bai and said, "In the next 4 hours, you can ask Chief Steward Bai to show you around the Chamber of Commerce. Whatever you like, as long as it's within 1,000 Xian crystals, you can buy it. Consider it my apology." 4 hours was not a long time. Madame Yen was courteous enough to give them 1,000 Xian crystals. The 2 agreed. Madame Yen left with a smile. Lu-Li and Lu-Yi were brought to the interior of the Chamber of Commerce by Chief Steward Bai. As soon as they entered the market, the 2 were dazzled. It was so spacious inside. There were hundreds of shops, and it was only on the first floor. There should be a second floor above. Even if it was only on the first floor, the 2 were still shocked. The things inside could easily cost thousands of Xian crystals. They saw a 9th-rank Earth-grade saber that cost 10,000 Xian crystals, Xian skills, pellets, armors, Xian artifacts, chariots, mystical materials, all kinds of things were available. As long as you had Xian crystals, you could have everything you wanted here. Lu Li even saw some pretty girls in one of the shops. Their prices were clearly marked. All of them were female slaves. Apart from Lu Yi buying some beautiful clothes and spending hundreds of Xian crystals, Lu Li and Lu Yi didn't buy anything else. They didn't buy anything else because they couldn't afford many of the things. As they walked on, a corridor appeared in front of them. It led downwards. There were people going in and out. Lu Li asked with curiosity, "Chief Steward Bai, what are they selling down there?" "Slaves." Chief Steward Bai explained in a low voice. "They are all slaves of alien races. There are alien race beauties and alien race powerful warriors. Today, a batch was delivered. Do you want to go and have a look?" Alien race? Lu Li didn't understand since he had never heard of it. Lu Yi explained in a low voice, "Our world is connected to many small worlds. There are alien races in those small worlds. There seems to be a connecting passage in the Thousand Island Lake. Warriors of big families often go there to fight. If they win, they can capture some alien race warriors and beauties. They can bring them back as slaves and sell them at a high price." Chief Steward Bai nodded and said with a smile, "Actually, the Thousand Island Lake is connected to more than one small world. There are 3 in total. Therefore, it is not strange to have alien race slaves at the Thousand Island Lake. Let's go and have a look." Lu Li's curiosity was piqued. Led by Chief Steward Bai, he walked into an underground hall. There were many people down there. They were all pointing at the cages. Lu Li and Lu Yi looked at them and felt strange. There were 10 cages in total in the hall, containing 10 alien races. 8 of them were beauties. 3 alien race beauties had wings on their back. Lu Li and Lu Yi thought they were looking at monsters. There were also 5 beauties from different races who had very pointy ears and tails behind their backs, making them look like female cats. "This is the feather race, and this is the cat girl." Chief Steward Bai explained, "The feather race can fly. But these feather race girls are too weak. They can't fly high or long. As for the cat girl, her tongue is very powerful, ha ha." With Lu Yi here, Chief Steward Bai couldn't say more. Lu Li only understood half of it. When he saw the price tag on the cages, he didn't dare to look at the alien race girls anymore. The lowest price for a feather race girl was 10,000 Xian crystals. The cat girl was even more expensive. All of them were more than 20,000 Xian crystals. One calming pellet was only 500 Xian crystals. Lu Li looked at the remaining 2 alien race warriors. They were of the same race, and they were very ugly. They were dwarfs with a height of only 3 feet. Their skin was green, and their eyes were filled with an evil glare, which made people uncomfortable. Chief Steward Bai explained, "These are green dwarfs. These 2 are comparable to warriors at the initial stage of the Soul Pond realm. They are good to take back to guard the house." Soul Pond realm? Lu Li and Lu Yi looked at each other in shock. How dare they sell warriors of the Soul Pond realm? What if they killed their masters after they bought them? Chief Steward Bai could tell that the 2 were worried. He said with a smile, "You don't have to worry about safety. The 2 green dwarfs have been implanted with soul worms. They will be in unbearable pain as long as their masters use their minds. They can even be killed easily. If we sell them, they must have been domesticated. They will not hurt their masters and they will obey orders completely." Good stuff. Lu Li's eyes glowed. Buying 1 green dwarf was equal to having 1 more fighter of the Soul Pond realm. If he could buy 5, wouldn't he be able to fight against the Blood Evil Brotherhood? 50,000 Xian crystals. Lu Yi shouted in surprise, which woke Lu Li up. He looked at the price tag on the cages and rolled his eyes. 50,000 Xian crystals. Even if a small family sold itself, it wouldn't be able to afford one. Families or forces that could afford 50,000 Xian crystals must have several warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Why would they need this kind of slave? Chief Steward Bai added, which made Luli completely give up the idea of buying this kind of slave. These green dwarfs can eat a lot, and they only eat special mystical materials. They will eat mystical materials that are worth about 30 Xian crystals a day. Therefore, this kind of slave is not popular. 30 Xian crystals a day, which would be nearly 1,000 a month, and more than 10,000 Xian crystals a year. Even a fourth-rank family would find it hard to support this kind of slave. Chapter 110. After a few rounds, time was almost up. Chief Steward Bai brought the two back to the side chamber. Madame Yen came in only after a while. As soon as she entered the room, the entire room seemed brighter. Luli looked at Madame Yen and sighed to himself again. The heavens were so kind to women. What was a born stunner? This was it. Madame Yen still had a light smile on her face. After she nodded to Lu Yi, she looked at Lu Li and went straight to the point. Your things are good. Name your price. We will take them all. Good? Lu Yi was excited. Madame Yen had affirmed the value of the blood caterpillar fruit. It meant that the Lu family could get endless Xian crystals in the future, which could be exchanged for endless resources and help them recruit warriors to grow. Lu Li was completely relieved. However, he didn't show too much emotion on his face. He asked back, how good is good? How much more effective is it compared to regular blood caterpillar fruits? Madame Yen and Chief Steward Bai looked at each other. This young man looked like a country bumpkin, but he was so calm. He got to the point and asked the key questions. Madame Yen said with a smile, we like to be frank when doing business. I will not lie to you. Your blood caterpillar fruits are twice as good as the best ones on the market. The pellets you make are of good quality. In other words, your fruits are worth a lot. Lu Yi was even more excited. Lu Li still asked calmly, what is the price of the best blood caterpillar fruits on the market? Madame Yen said bluntly, the best blood caterpillar fruits on the market are from the Blood Evil Island. One fruit is about 10 Xian crystals. Sometimes the price will fluctuate. 10 Xian crystals? Lu Yi trembled. She seemed to have seen the Lu family being drowned by mountains and seas of Xian crystals. She seemed to have seen a path to heaven opened up for the Lu family. Lu Li had been staring into Madame Yan's eyes. Eyes would not betray people. When people were lying, their eyes would sparkle. This was what Lu Ling taught him. Just now, Madame Yan's eyes were as calm as water. As the largest chamber of commerce of the Thousand Island Lake, the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce would not lie. Lu Li thought about it and said, name your price. Madame Yen thought about it and said, 20 Xian crystals for one blood caterpillar fruit. This is the highest price I can get. If it is you, Chief Steward Bai, you do not have this right. 20 mysterious crystals? Lu Yi's breaths quickened. Lu Li still didn't show any emotion on his face. He thought about it and said, Madame Yen, I can supply the blood caterpillar fruits for a long time. Also, I can guarantee that you will have an exclusive supply. Long-term supply? Madame Yen and Chief Steward Bai looked at each other in astonishment. For thousands of years, the blood caterpillar fruits of the best quality were all from the Blood Evil Island. The two of them thought that Lu Li got these from a strange place. They didn't expect that they could supply them for a long time. Madame Yen thought about it and said decisively, 25 Xian crystals for one. But this must be an exclusive supply. If we find out that you are selling it to others, we will hold you accountable. Deal. Finally, Lu Li put on a smile. He reached out his hand and said, happy working with you. Madame Yen paused for a second. Then she smiled and gave Lu Li a high five. On the other side, Lu Yi still felt like she was in a dream. She couldn't believe it. 500 blood caterpillar fruits were sold for more than 10,000 Xian crystals. The Lu family didn't have to worry about Xian crystals and resources for the time being. Madame Yen waved her hand to let Chief Steward Bai deal with the rest. She looked at Lu Li with a smile and said, little brother, I still don't know your name. And this sister. Luli didn't hide anything. It would be too easy for Madame Yen to find out his background. He said, I am Luli, the Luli of the bazaar. This is Lu Yi, the family patriarch of my family. Family patriarch? Madame Yen was a bit surprised, but she didn't say anything. She left after some small talk. Chief Steward Bai also brought the Xian crystals. However, it was not a bag of Xian crystals, but a token. Chief Steward Bai explained, this is the token of our Chamber of Commerce. There are branches on all the fourth-rank islands. You can go to any branch to exchange for Xian crystals. After the token is refined, it will show the number of Xian crystals. It's okay even if you lose the token. If you are not the owner, you can't get the Xian crystals out. Lu Li threw the token to Lu Yi. The latter mobilized her Xian energy and refined the token. The number was shown, 12,500 Xian crystals. Lu Yi had heard of this kind of token before. She nodded to indicate that it was okay. She also threw the token to Chief Steward Bai and asked him to exchange for 3,000 Xian crystals. They didn't have enough Xian crystals to take the teleportation formation back. When Chief Steward Bai got the Xian crystals, Lu Yi asked again, right, Chief Steward Bai, how many Xian crystals for one heaven Xian pellet? Chief Steward Bai replied, if outsiders were to buy it, it would be 100 Xian crystals for one. Now that you are our distinguished guests, it will only be 80 Xian crystals for one. Thank you, Chief Steward Bai. Lu Yi nodded. The price was fair. It was 20 Xian crystals cheaper than the market price. She handed over the token again and said, help me buy 50 heaven Xian pellets. Chief Steward Bai left again. Lu Li asked with confusion, why do you want to buy so many heaven Xian pellets? What are these pellets for? Lu Yi smiled and said, it's for you to cultivate. For me? Lu Li was taken aback. Lu Yi spent 4,000 Xian crystals in one go, and it was for him. Lu Yi explained, in the future, the Lu family will constantly provide you with heaven Xian pellets for your cultivation. In the future, when we have more Xian crystals, I will even buy divine Xian pellets for you. If you don't rely on pellets to cultivate at the Spirit Sea realm, it will be too slow. With the heaven Xian pellets, your cultivation speed can be increased by more than 10 times. Now, the Lu family has no powerful warriors. The more powerful you are, the safer the Lu family will be. I am not doing this entirely for you, but for the Lu family as well. Don't put it off. Without you, how can the blood caterpillar fruits grow in the cultivation ground? More than 10 times. Lu Li's eyes lit up. When he was in closed-door cultivation at the Blood Dragon Island, he felt his cultivation speed was too slow. If it could be increased by more than 10 times, he would be able to reach the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. The latter stage, the peak, he didn't put it off anymore. Without the animal tooth pendant, the blood caterpillar fruits could not be grown. If he didn't become stronger, the Lu family would not be safe. He had too many things to do. He urgently needed to improve his fighting capacity. Soon, the 50 Heaven Xian pellets were delivered. Lu Li and Lu Yi directly left the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce and walked towards the tavern. They were going to pack up and teleport to the God-Down City today, and then go back to the Blood Dragon Island. After seeing them off, Chief Steward Bai entered a side chamber. Madame Yen was lying on her side lazily, seemingly having an afternoon nap. Her delicate body was lying on her side, beautiful beyond imagination. Chief Steward Bai looked steadily forward. He stared at Madame Yen's face and said, "Madam, they are gone." Madame Yen didn't even open her eyes. She waved her hand and said in a low voice, "Send someone to look into their identities immediately. I want detailed information." But Chief Steward Bai was confused. The Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce received many mysterious people every day, but they never checked their backgrounds. The Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce only did business. They would not get involved in any dispute. This was decided by the old man of Heaven Prison when he founded the Chamber of Commerce. If they wanted to investigate Luli and Louis, then Chief Steward Bai would have to report to the family and ask the Hall of Scouts of the family to investigate. The Chamber of Commerce did not have this ability. That young man is not simple. Madame Yen suddenly sat up. Her eyes were glistening. She said, I just checked the young man's soul. I can't find anything. How can it be? Chief Steward Bai was shocked. Then he said in a low voice, should we report this to the family? Have the family come forward to recruit him? No. Madame Yen waved her hand and said, this young man is still too weak. He is not a bloodline warrior yet. Let's look for information first and observe in secret. Anyway, he will come here to sell blood caterpillar fruits often. There will be plenty of opportunities. Okay. Chapter 111. When they got back to the tavern, Luli changed his mind. He didn't take the teleportation formation right away. He planned to teleport after dark. By then, there would be fewer people in the God-Down City, which would make it harder for him to be discovered. Luli and Lu Yi stayed in the tavern until midnight. They spent 2,000 Xian crystals to teleport back to the God-Down City. There were indeed fewer people at night. This time, the two felt better after taking the teleportation formation. Even though they still felt dizzy and wanted to vomit, they managed to hold it back. The city gate was closed at midnight. The two found a tavern but didn't sleep. They cultivated until dawn. Then they left the tavern and went straight to the city gate and the dock. Family Patriarch. Before they arrived at the dock, several people ran towards them from behind. Luli saw that it was the Patriarch who sent them here and the several disciples of the Lu family. Luli asked with confusion, why are you behind us? Are you in the city as well? Yes. The Patriarch nodded and said, when you teleported back last night, we already knew. We also knew that you left the city. We followed you to see if anyone was following you. This time, did it go well? Lu Yi smiled and nodded. Very well. We will talk about it when we get back. Okay. The Patriarch knew what Lu Yi and Luli were here for. He trembled with excitement. They went straight to the dock and went back to the Blood Dragon Island on the battleship dock there. When they got back to the Blood Dragon Island and told them about what happened, all the Patriarchs were so excited that they almost burst into tears. They looked at Luli in a different light. They all knew very well that from now on, Luli would be the Xian crystals bag of the Lu family. Without Luli, the Lu family would have to starve to death. Lu Yi told them about the 50 heaven Xian pellets she bought and stated that they were for Luli's cultivation. Nobody had any objection. As long as Luli continued to help, the Lu family could grow more blood caterpillar fruits and get more Xian crystals. In the future, they could have anything they wanted. Patriarch 7 and the others discussed it over and over again. Once again, they made it clear that they could not leak this matter. Otherwise, they would be killed without question. At the same time, Patriarch 7 decided to buy some materials and build inhibition formations to seal off the entire valley. Apart from the Patriarchs, nobody was allowed to go in. There was another piece of news. Patriarch Lu sent someone back with the news that the families of the Lu family were not killed. At the moment, he was arranging for them to be transferred in batches. This is both a good and a bad thing. Those family members were their loved ones. If they could come over, it meant that they were completely safe. However, with so many people coming over, the family would need to spend a lot of money. Many children needed resources to cultivate, and the more people there were, the more it would be messy. The Lu family was seriously short of manpower. Luli paid them no mind. He said something to Lu Yi and went back to his room to cultivate with the 50 heaven Xian pellet. Patriarch 7 and the others continued their meeting to discuss the secret purchase of the blood caterpillar grass seeds and the blood rhinoceros at the God-Down Island. This heavenly profound core is indeed amazing. Luli took a heaven Xian pellet and cultivated for a whole day before he stopped. He sensed for a while and secretly marveled at how good it was to have resources. No wonder the disciples of big families could cultivate so quickly. According to his preliminary judgment, the speed of his cultivation had increased by at least 20 times after consuming the heavenly profound pill. Originally, if he wanted to improve his Xian energy to the middle stage of the divine sea realm, it would take him at least 3 years. Now, he estimated that it would only take about 1.5 months. This cultivation speed was too fast. This was only the profound heavenly pill. What if he bought a higher grade profound saint pill to aid his cultivation? Would it be 50 times, or even 100 times? But Lu Yi said that the Heaven Xian pellet could increase the speed of cultivation by more than 10 times. Now it was more than 20 times? Today, the animal tooth pendant glowed for a long time. The fact that he could cultivate so fast must have something to do with the animal tooth pendant. The cultivation of a warrior is just piling up resources. One Heaven Xian pellet cost 80 Xian crystals. Lu Li felt cultivation was burning Xian crystals. This was the Spirit Sea realm. What about the Soul Pond realm, the Fate Wheel realm and the Eternal realm? How did his father, Lu Renhuang, cultivate to the human sovereign realm? That being said, Lu Ling said that the Lu family was one of the 10 most powerful bloodlines of the Central Plains. Such a powerful family must have horrifying resources. If Lu Renhuang's talent was extraordinary, it could be piled up. Lu Li continued his cultivation after his meal. There were no more blood caterpillar grass seeds in the Lu family, so there was no need for him to use the animal tooth pendant to improve the blood. He made it clear to Lu Yi that she should not disturb him if there was nothing important. 3 days later, Lu Yi came to him. She bought the seeds of the blood caterpillar grass and uprooted all the blood caterpillar grass. She also bought more than a dozen blood rhinoceroses for Lu Li to improve the blood. Lu Li went to the valley and found that the 2 blood ponds had become a huge one filled with blood. He looked around and made sure that there was nobody in the valley. Then he pretended to take out some powder and sprinkled it in. He quietly threw in the animal tooth pendant and stirred it with a stick for a long time. The blood boiled and tumbled. When the blood stabilized, Lu Li took out the animal tooth pendant and washed it. Then he left the rest to Lu Yi. The blood pond was enlarged. Even if the Lu family planted the entire valley with blood caterpillar grasses, it would last 4 or 5 days. Therefore, Lu Li only needed to come once every 4 or 5 days. The Lu family did plant the entire valley, more than 2,000 blood caterpillar grasses. According to Patriarch 9's suggestion, they should plant 7 or 8,000 blood caterpillar grasses at one time, but Patriarch 7 vetoed it. If they planted too many, they could not plant them in the valley. If they planted them outside, they would be found out easily. Then there was the blood rhinoceroses. If they bought dozens of blood rhinoceroses at one time, how could it not attract the attention of the Blood Evil Island? An innocent man would get into trouble because of his wealth. The Lu family was too weak now. Once people knew that they could grow blood caterpillar grasses of high quality, the Lu family would be wiped out in minutes. Patriarch 7 would go to the Blood Evil Island from time to complain. At the same time, he asked many patriarchs to go to the lake area near the Blood Evil Island to hunt Xian beasts, pretending that they were so poor that they had no food to eat. Lu Yi asked someone to open up a farm in another place and planted some blood caterpillar grasses that were colorless and sickly. From time to time, she would invite Xue Bugui over to give her some pointers. After 13 days, the blood caterpillar grasses were ripe, just like the ones Lu Li sold last time. The Lu family was overjoyed. Patriarch 7 asked Lu Li and Lu Yi to bring 2,000 blood caterpillar grasses to the Heaven Prison City to sell. 2,000 blood caterpillar grasses would be 50,000 Xian crystals in total. If they could get this amount of Xian crystals, the Lu family would not be short of Xian crystals in a short period of time. They could buy a lot of resources and at the same time, they could find ways to recruit warriors and slowly grow. What's the hurry? Lu Li didn't agree. He refused directly. There are too few blood caterpillar grasses. The more we go to the heaven prison city, the easier it is for us to be exposed. Let's wait until we get 10,000 blood caterpillar grasses before we go. Also, I think when we get enough Xian crystals, you can consider buying some green dwarfs. With some green dwarfs, the Blood Dragon Island will be safe for now. Green dwarfs? Lu Yi murmured. Her eyes lit up. She shouted in surprise, that's right. We are not short of Xian crystals. The most important thing now is to ensure the safety of the island. As long as we can keep this island, we will have endless Xian crystals. Lu Li and Lu Yi didn't dare to think about it before. After all, green dwarfs were too expensive. Raising green dwarfs would cost too many Xian crystals. Now they could make 50,000 Xian crystals in 13 days. Why not? After Lu Yi told the patriarchs about it, all the patriarchs' eyes glowed. As long as they could have several green dwarfs as slaves comparable to warriors of the Soul Pond realm, apart from the God-Down Island, who would dare to attack the Blood Dragon Island. P.S. There is one more chapter in the evening. 4 chapters today. Add more chapters for Yang Xian. Tentatively scheduled to be released on 6/4. That day will be a huge explosion. Chapter 112. There was a rule at the Thousand Island Lake which was set by the Old Man of Heaven Prison himself. No force could attack a force lower than 2 ranks. To put it simply, a 4th-rank force could not attack a 2nd-rank one, and a 3rd-rank force could not attack a 1st-rank one. The Lu family was a 2nd-rank force, while the God-Down Island was a 4th-rank force. They could not attack the Lu family. Of course, rules were dead, but people were alive. If the God-Down Island really wanted to wipe out the Lu family, it could be done with one word. Any big shot of the God-Down Island could give an order and countless 3rd-rank forces would drown the Lu family. But unless the Lu family provoked the God-Down Island and courted death themselves, how could the big shots of the God-Down Island allow someone to attack the Lu family? After all, it was not a nice thing to hear. The big shots of the God-Down Island didn't think much of a small 2nd-rank family. Therefore, the real threat of the Lu family was the Blood Evil Island. The Lu family had taken away the business of the Blood Evil Island, cutting off their source of income and lifeline. The Blood Evil Island relied on blood caterpillar grasses. Once a large number of high-quality blood caterpillar fruits entered the market, the income of the Blood Evil Island would be greatly reduced. By that time, the Blood Evil Island would try every means to find out the secret of the Lu family. Once the secret of the Lu family was discovered, a war would inevitably break out. No matter how righteous Xuecho was, the patriarchs of the Blood Evil Island would not let it go. How could a man of high status at the Thousand Island Lake be a good man? Even Patriarch 7 didn't believe this. There were no permanent friends or enemies in the world, only interests. The existence of the Lu family had deprived the Blood Evil Island of its interests. Cultivating powerful warriors and improving the strength of the Lu family were urgent matters. Patriarch 7 and the others discussed and soon made a decision. They would not sell the blood caterpillar fruits now. They would cultivate tens of thousands of them and sell them at the Heaven Prison Island. Then they would buy some green dwarfs. As long as the green dwarfs came back, even if the Blood Evil Island knew the secret of the Lu family, they wouldn't be afraid of them. For the rest of the time, the Lu family continued to cultivate blood caterpillar fruits, Lu Li continued to cultivate, and Patriarch 7 continued to go to the Blood Evil Island, crying about the lack of resources. And Xuebugue would go to the Blood Dragon Island from time to time to flirt with Lu Yi. The frequency of Xuebugue's visits was getting more and more frequent. His intentions were getting more and more obvious. It was clear that he wanted to woo Lu Yi and marry her. Lu Yi was now the patriarch of the Lu family. If he married Lu Yi, the Lu family would naturally belong to the Blood Evil faction. There were more than a dozen warriors in the Spirit Sea realm in the Lu family, including 2 at the later stage of the Spirit Sea realm. They were a great force. The key was that the Lu family used to be a third-rank family. They had been dominating the Wu Ling County for so many years. They must have some special resources, such as advanced Xian skills and special secret methods. Xueqiu was very interested in these. Swallowing up the Lu family. This was the tone that had been set the moment the Lu family came to seek shelter. However, this matter could not be rushed. Xueqiu wanted to save face. He was afraid that if he pressed too hard, things would go in the opposite direction. At that time, it would be troublesome if the Lu family fought to the death. That was why Xuebugue had been working so hard recently. Every time, he would bring some special fruits of the Thousand Island Lake to please Lu Yi in every possible way, trying to win her heart. If it was in the past, Lu Yi might have considered having a relationship with Xuebugue for the sake of the Lu family's development. The Lu family was not in need of Xian crystals. They didn't have to rely on the Blood Evil Island. Lu Yi's mind was also very firm. Every time Xuebugue returned, she would treat him politely and with a very good attitude. Anything could be discussed, but talking about feelings? No way. Half a month later, the second batch of Blood Evil fruits came out. The first batch of Lu family disciples that were relocated from the Wu Ling County had arrived as well. Among them were the kid with the roaring fire bloodline and the relatives of Patriarch 7. There were thousands of elderly, women and children in the Lu family. The first batch alone had 500 or 600 people. As soon as the people arrived, the Blood Dragon Island became lively. Many children with good aptitude for cultivation were sent here, which gave people hope. These children would be the backbone of the Lu family in the future. The arrival of the Lu family's family members made the Blood Evil Island happy. With so many family members, the Lu family could not run away even if they wanted to. With so many people to feed, the Lu family would have to surrender to the Blood Evil Island. Lu Li paid no attention to what was going on outside. He only went to the valley every couple of days and threw the animal tooth pendant into the blood pond. He cultivated with all his might and used the Heaven Xian pellets like water. It was so cool to cultivate with advanced pellet. He had been cultivating for almost a month. The air whirl in his Spirit Sea had grown bigger. It was about to fill up the entire Spirit Sea. By then, he could try to reach the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. The only thing that bothered Lu Li was Little White. Little White had eaten a lot of fire jade spars, but its size was still the same. However, it was more energetic recently. It didn't sleep every day anymore. Since it didn't sleep, it had to play, right? Lu Li didn't let it out of the castle for fear that it would be hurt. Little White was bored. It had to play with Lu Li when it had nothing to do. It would scratch here and there, which made Lu Li unable to cultivate in peace. Lu Li was annoyed and scolded it. Little White would squat in the corner again, looking pitiful. After some thoughts, Lu Li decided to move. He asked someone to build a cabin in a hill called Bamboo Hill, more than 3 miles to the north of the farm. He lived in the cabin alone. There were many small bamboo rats in the bamboo hill. It was a spacious place. There was a big river with some fish and shrimp. Lu Li didn't allow anyone to get close. He could let Little White run around to catch bamboo rats or fish and shrimps in the river. Little White wouldn't disturb him for no reason. Lu Li usually cultivated in the castle. He was rarely seen or chatted with people of the Lu family. Therefore, it made no difference to the Lu family where he cultivated. Anyways, they could ask him to go to the valley every couple of days. Patriarch 7 and Patriarch 9 had asked Lu Yi many times for the secret formula to improve Lu Li's blood, asking her to find a way to get it. After all, this thing was the lifeline of the Lu family. It would be safer to have it in the hands of the Lu family. What if Lu Li suddenly left? Lu Yi, on the other hand, knew very well that there was no secret formula. It was the animal tooth pendant on Lu Li's neck, his trump card. How could Lu Li give it to the Lu family? Little White was much happier after it came to the bamboo hill. Luli told it not to leave the bamboo hill and to come back as soon as it saw people. Little White was also excited. It wandered around in the hill all day long, chasing after those bamboo rats until there was nowhere left for them to go. Another half a month passed by. The cyclone inside Luli's spirit sea had reached its limit. He could make it to the middle stage of the spirit sea realm at any time. He came out from his closed-door cultivation. Now that the Lu family had Xian crystals, he could buy many pellet. Naturally, he wouldn't be so silly as to endure the pain to reach the middle stage of the spirit sea realm like he did before. He found Little White and walked towards the Lu family fortress. He planned to ask Lu Yi for some pellets so that he could make the breakthrough. He didn't find Lu Yi at the Lu family fortress. After some inquiries, he learned that Xue Bugue was here again. Lu Yi had accompanied him to the Plenilune Pond at the south. Luli was too embarrassed to ask Patriarch 7 and the others for pellets. He knew about the Plenilune Pond. It was just 6 miles to the south of the Lu family fortress. With his speed, he could get there in the time for several incense sticks to burn. He walked towards the Plenilune Pond in stride. He planned to go back to the hill to continue cultivating after telling Lu Yi. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, he was not far away from the Plenilune Pond. A man suddenly ran towards him and shouted when he saw Luli. It was a man of the Lu family. Luli knew him. He remembered his name was Lu Xia. Luli frowned and asked, "Lu Xia, what happened?" That man had been running at the top of his speed. He was out of breath. He took a few deep breaths before he said, "Lord Lu, go to the Plenilune Pond. Xue Bugue might rape Ravager family patriarch. Go and save her. P.S. Chapter 4 is here. New books need care, collection, recommendation votes, comments, tips, everything. Please come to the Genesis or Chidian, QQ Reading, mobile reading to support the old freak. If you all work hard, there will be 4 chapters tomorrow, the day after and the day after that. Chapter 113. On hearing this, Lu Li's expressions turned cold. Lu Yi was his only friend in the Lu family. She had helped him before. How could he let something happen to her without doing anything? At that moment, he circulated his dark force to its maximum speed. He lifted Lu Xia with one hand and asked him to point the way. At the same time, he asked about the situation. Lu Li's physical strength was so strong that carrying a person did not affect his speed at all. Lu Xia explained everything quickly and showed Lu Li the way at the same time. Today, Xue Bugue came to the Blood Dragon Island with some people to look for Lu Yi, saying that he wanted to see the scenery of the Plenilune Lake. Xue Bugue had been visiting frequently recently, but the Lu family did not take it seriously. Lu Yi did not dare to offend Xue Bugue. She had to suppress her disgust and accompany Xue Bugue to the Blood Dragon Island. In the past, Lu Yi would usually be accompanied by an elder and a few guards. Today's situation was special. The valley had just harvested a batch of blood caterpillar fruits, so Patriarch 7 took some people to the Goddown Island to buy seeds and blood rhinoceroses. Fortunately, the second group of Lu clan members had arrived. Patriarch 9 and several other patriarchs went to welcome them. Therefore, there were not many patriarchs left in the Lu clan castle. 2 of them were still guarding the medicine fields in the valley. Lu Yi and Xue Bugue went to the Plenilune Pond a few times. Lu Yi didn't pay much attention to them and just brought 2 guards at the peak of the Xian Wu realm to the pond. Who knew that when they went to the full moon lake, Xue Bugue actually told the guards of the Xie clan and the Lu clan not to follow too closely. It was normal for Xue Bugue to want to be alone with Lu Yi. What was not normal was, Lu Xia and Xue Bugue wanted to follow them from afar, but the guards of the Xue clan did not allow them to do so. They said that they should not disturb Xue Bugue and Xue Bugue. Lu Xia and the rest were naturally worried. The way Xue Bugue looked at Lu Yi was so lustful. If Lu Yi was not in their sight, how could they be at ease? Lu Xia was smart. He asked the other person to stay calm while he snuck away with the excuse of urinating. He sneaked into the full moon pond from the other side to investigate. He saw Xue Bugue and Lu Yi drinking in a pavilion, but Lu Yi seemed to be a little drunk. His body seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Lu Yi did not dare to offend Xue Bugue. Perhaps she would accompany him for a few drinks, but she would never get drunk. There must be a big problem here. Lu Xia's heart was burning with anxiety, but he did not dare to rush over. He was afraid that he would be killed by Xue Bugue's palm strike. Xue Bugue was a warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm and the young island owner of the Blood Evil Island. Therefore, he ran towards the Lu family fortress at once, trying to find a patriarch to save the day. He happened to see Lu Li, so he was overjoyed. They had all heard about how Lu Li defeated Patriarch 9 in one move. There is indeed a problem. Lu Li's expressions became colder. The Lu family had been guarding against the Blood Evil Island in every way. Lu Yi had always hated Xue Bugue. How could she drink too much? He quickened his pace again. Since he was already not far from the full moon pond, he arrived in the vicinity in just half an incense stick of time. 3 warriors of the Blood Evil Island were blocking the entrance to the Plenilune Pond. Another warrior of the Lu family stood anxiously on the side, not knowing what to do. Lord Lu. Seeing Lu Li rushing over with the Lu family, that man was overjoyed and shouted in surprise. The 3 warriors of the Blood Evil Island glanced over but thought nothing of it. Lu Li was only at the initial stage of the Spirit Sea realm, but the 3 of them were at the Spirit Sea realm, and one of them was at the middle stage. Lu Li put Lu Xia down and walked towards the Plenilune Pond in strides. Seeing the 3 blocking his way, Lu Li said in a cold voice, "I have something important to discuss with my family patriarch. Please move aside." Lu Li didn't want to make a big fuss if he didn't have to offend them openly. After all, the Lu family couldn't afford to offend the Blood Evil Island yet. The 3 escorts of the Blood Evil Island were all middle-aged men, wearing the blood-red armor of the Blood Evil Island. The 3 looked at each other. The warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm said, "Our young island owner is discussing something important with your family patriarch. We have just given the order that nobody can disturb them." Something is wrong. Lu Li's heart tightened. What kind of business could Xue Bugue and Lu Yi talk about? Even if they did, it would be Xue Chou talking to Patriarch 7. Lu Li raised his eyebrows and said in a cold voice, "No matter how important it is, it cannot be as important as our family's business. I must see our family patriarch now. Get lost." Hearing Lu Li's unkind tone, the 3's expressions darkened. The escort at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm mocked, "What important matter can the Lu family have? Punk, you are quite arrogant, aren't you? What if I don't move aside?" The other 2 already had their hands on the hilts of their sabers. Their meaning was clear. If Lu Li still dared to be arrogant, they wouldn't mind teaching him a lesson. Swish. Lu Li made his move. He didn't have time to waste on these 3's nonsense. He was very close to the 3, only about 10 feet away. With such a short distance and his speed, he reached the 3 in the blink of an eye. He didn't bring his Heaven Kylin sword with him. He didn't need weapons to deal with warriors of this level. Lu Li rushed over and punched at the warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. Lu Xia and the other warrior were scared silly. Lu Li was fighting with warriors of the Blood Evil Island just because of some disagreement? If Xue Chou was enraged, the Lu family would be destroyed. Courting death. The 3 warriors of the Blood Evil Island were enraged. How dare Lu Li make the first move? However, Lu Li was too fast. Seeing that his fist was about to hit the head of the warrior at the initial stage of the Spirit Sea realm, the warrior had no choice but to retreat. At the same time, he shouted angrily, "Stop him!" The other 2 understood. They used their bodies to block Luli, giving the warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm a chance to unsheathe his saber. Even though the two did not have time to unsheathe their sabers, they still swung their unsheathed treasured sabers at Luli, whom, with his way blocked, Luli couldn't attack the warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. He had to smash his fists at the chests of the two warriors at the Spirit Sea realm. Luli's strength was so great that his speed was not slow either. Neither of the two warriors could dodge. They were punched in the chests by Luli. The two warriors didn't even have the time to hit Luli with their unsheathed sabers. Crack, two sounds of bones breaking came out. The two warriors were smashed away like broken sack. Blood spilled out from their mouths, and they landed on the two sides of the road. They struggled for a bit but could not get up. They were badly injured. Even if Luli didn't use his bloodline skill, his strength was still horrifying. With the help of Xian energy, his strength was at least 25,000 pounds. If it were not for the fact that the two warriors were wearing armors, they would have been smashed to death. Courting death, the warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm in front of Luli was enraged. He unsheathed his Xian artifact saber and rushed towards Luli like a sharp sword. His saber glared, and there was a faint air current surging out. Luli couldn't tell what Xian skill he had used. "Give me a weapon!" Luli had no weapon, and his opponent was at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. Luli dared not to be careless. He turned back and shouted. Lu Xia immediately unsheathed his saber and threw it at Luli. With the saber in his hand, Luli's momentum was soaring. He didn't have time to waste on this man. He released his bloodline skill at once. A glow came from his back, but it was covered by his robe. His muscles were bulging at a speed visible to the naked eye. His eyes glowed with silver light. Horrifying chi and energy came out from his body. He had transformed into a human-shaped dragon. The warrior of the Blood Evil Island who was rushing over in a frenzy was shocked. Luli was just standing in front of him casually. He didn't even use his Xian energy. Yet, he felt so pressured. He had a feeling that if he were to rush over, he would be hacked to death by Luli in one move. P.S. It's up to you whether there will be 3 or 4 chapters or even 5 chapters today. Bookmark, vote, comment, and tip. Please come to Genesis, Chidian, QQ Reading, and QQ Reading to support me. I want passion. Chapter 114. Humph. This feeling was forgotten by the warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm of the Blood Evil Island in an instant. Luli was not a bloodline warrior, nor did he take any pellets? How could he forcefully increase his battle prowess? The only explanation was that Luli was bluffing. He paused for a second. Then he mobilized his Xian energy and sped up. He jumped up high and hacked at Luli's head. More and more chi waves were surging out of this person's blade, making people unable to see where the blade was. It felt as though the blade could slash down from any angle. It was impossible to block. This was obviously a very good mystical skill. Unblockable? Then I won't block it. Luli swung his saber and hacked at the man's chest. Luli was fast and he used all his strength. Perhaps the other party could strike his head with one strike, but he was absolutely confident that he could cut open the other party's stomach with one strike. He bet that the other party wouldn't dare to risk their lives with him, because in the other party's eyes, he was just an insignificant person. How could he possibly die together with him? As expected, a glint of coldness flashed in the eyes of the warrior of the Blood Evil Island. In the end, he didn't dare to continue. He swung his saber horizontally, ready to knock Luli's saber away, and then slide his saber to cut off Luli's head. The result was self-evident. The strength of a warrior in the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm was only tens of thousands of pounds. He changed his moves halfway and his strength was weakened again. How strong was Luli? After releasing his bloodline divine skill, Even if he didn't use the Thunder Rush mystic skill, he would at least be a few 100,000 kilograms. Bang! Under the dumbfounded gazes of Lu Xia and the other man, the warriors of the Blood Evil Island flew away like kites with a broken string. His saber was knocked away, and there was a dent in the armor on his chest. Blood gushed out of his body as he flew through the air. Finally, he heavily smashed into the ground a few dozen feet away. He rolled a few times, and there was no movement at all. SS. Lu Xia and the other man sucked in a breath of cold air. They were so nervous that their bodies were trembling. The two were shocked by Lu Li's fighting capacity. At the same time, they were worried that if Lu Li killed the warriors of the Blood Evil Island, how could the Lu family explain to the Blood Evil Island? Xiao. Lu Li carried his saber and ran towards the Plenilune Pond. He didn't even look at the three warriors of the Blood Evil Island. Lu Xia and Lu Li hurried to catch up. They glanced over and saw that the warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm was not dead, just in a coma. They were relieved and ran after Lu Li. The Plenilune Pond was not large, but the scenery was beautiful. It was one of the best scenic spots on the Blood Dragon Island. Lu Li glanced around casually and saw a pavilion by the pond. However, when he glanced at the grassland next to the pavilion, his killing intent surged out. Clan head, Lu Xia and the other man rushed over. When they saw the scene in the meadow, their eyes widened and their killing intent surged. A piece of rag was spread on the grass, and Lu Yi was lying on it. Her robe was torn in many places, revealing her snow-white skin in many places, and there was a bright red handprint on her face. Lu Yi was not unconscious. Her eyes were filled with rage and humiliation. At this moment, she was still struggling with all her might. However, her body was weak and limp, as if she was suffering from osteochondrosis, and there was no sign of profound energy. On the other hand, Xue Bugue had already taken off his shirt and was riding on top of Lu Yi. One of his hands was holding on to Lu Yi's neck, while the other was frantically tearing her clothes apart. Slap! Seeing that Lu Yi was about to grab him, Xue Bugue gave her a slap. Another 5 bright red handprint appeared on Lu Yi's right cheek. Lu Li understood what was going on after he saw this, and what the Lu family said. Clearly, Xue Bugue knew that there were not many patriarchs of the Lu family here today, so he brought Lu Yi to the Plenilune Pond, secretly drugged her, and wanted to have sex with her by force. Xue Bugue had pursued her for so long that he must have lost his patience. He wanted to get her by force and make love. Once Lu Yi's body was tainted, what else could she do other than marrying him? The Blood Evil Island was so powerful. Even if this were to happen, the Lu family could not kill Xue Bugue. By that time, Xuecho could come out and reprimand or punish Xue Bugue severely. Then he could smooth things over so that Xue Bugue and Lu Yi could get married. Then everything would be perfect. Luckily, I came in time. Lu Li secretly felt lucky. If he were any later, Lu Yi's chastity might be lost. Without saying anything, Lu Li rushed towards the pavilion like a gust of wind. He dragged Lu Xia's saber with him, and the murderous intent in his body surged. Xue Bugue sensed it. He looked over in rage. When he saw that it was Lu Li and the 2 escorts of the Lu family, he was surprised out of instinct. Then he said with rage, "Who let you come here? F***ck off." If it were Patriarch 7 and the others, Xue Bugue would be scared. But who was Lu Li? Who did these 2 guards think they were? His mind was filled with lust. He was about to get what he wanted, but it was ruined. Naturally, he was furious. Lu Li kept running without saying anything. Soon, he arrived at the grassland. Lu Yi showed a trace of joy in her eyes when she saw Lu Li. Then tears gushed out from her eyes like rivers. She was like a wronged child seeing her father courting death. Xue Bugue stood up in rage. He picked up a long sword from the side and unsheathed it. He pointed at Lu Li and said, "F***ck off or die." F***ck off. Lu Li cursed. He rushed over like a gust of wind, swung his saber and hacked at Shwebugue's head. Go to hell, Shwebugue was enraged. He waved his Xian artifact long sword and created some sparks. His legs moved so fast that people could not see his footwork clearly. In an instant, he moved to Lu Li's left side and dodged Lu Li's attack. Xian's skill of body movement? Lu Li stopped. Shwebugue had marvelous Xian skill of body movement. If Lu Li were to keep moving forward, he would be easily assassinated by Shwebugue. Therefore, Lu Li decided to stay still and wait for Shwebugue's attack. Hiss! Shwebugue didn't show any mercy. His long sword moved in an arc and twisted like a poisonous snake, aiming at Lu Li's waist. Lu Li didn't mind Shwebugue's long sword. He swung his saber and swept at Shwebugue. Just now, that warrior at the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm of the Blood Evil Island dared not to trade his life for Lu Li's. Shwebugue's identity was more honorable. How could he die together with a nobody? Sure enough, Shwebugue drew his sword back at once and dodged. He moved behind Lu Li like a slippery loach. Once again, his long sword stabbed at Lu Li like a poisonous snake. Hiss! Lu Li didn't mind Shwebugue's attack either. He swung his saber and swept back. Their weapons were about the same length. Lu Li's attack speed was fast. If Shwebugue wanted to kill Lu Li, he would be hacked to death by Lu Li for sure. **T. Shwebugue was so upset that he wanted to vomit blood. It was the first time he saw Lu Li fight with his life for his own. Shwebugue was not afraid of death at all. Every time, Lu Li wanted to die together with him. How could Shwebugue, with his honorable status, risk his life against Lu Li? The next few attacks were the same. Shwebugue was at his wits' end. He felt Lu Li was like a hedgehog that he couldn't bite. Swish! Just as Shwebugue was frowning and trying to think of a way, Lu Li, who had been motionless, suddenly moved. Shwebugue was caught unprepared and had no time to dodge. Chapter 115. Bang! A surge of powerful force came. Shwebugue couldn't hold his sword anymore. He was frightened to see his sword was knocked away and Lu Li's saber pierced through. He quickly moved his feet and twisted his body to the back in an exaggerated way. At the same time, he kicked at Lu Li's hand with one leg. Hiss! Even so, Shwebugue's chest and abdomen still had a deep blood mark. Lu Li's saber was too fast. If it were not for the fact that Shwebugue's body movements and Xian skill were good, he would have been cut open. Shwebugue let out a miserable cry and rolled around on the ground. He was wearing soft armor, but he took it off. Otherwise, the saber couldn't have cut through his soft armor. He rolled around on the ground and got up. He looked at the deep blood mark on his abdomen and the surging wound. His eyes were filled with rage and pain as well as deep fear. He just felt the breath of death. Lu Li was not joking. If he didn't dodge fast enough, he would have become a dead body by now. Shwebugue had suffered and risked his life. When he was little, Shwecho was hunted down and it lasted for many years. When he was little, Shwebugue used to hunt wild beasts and Xian beasts in the mountains by himself. He almost lost his life many times. However, ever since Shwecho became the island owner of the Blood Evil Island and brought Shwebugue here, he never suffered any more pain or injury. He had been a young master for a long time and was used to living like a prince. Shwebugue was afraid of death, therefore, when he saw Lu Li striding towards him with a saber in his hand, he showed a trace of fear in his eyes. Without saying anything, he left his weapon and soft armor behind. He covered the wound on his abdomen and ran away. You want to run? Lu Li really wanted to kill today. Looking at the tears in Lu Yi's eyes, Lu Li would kill her even if the God of Heaven was here. It was wrong to bully a girl. Now, he drugged her? Forcing her to have sex? He would kill such a scumbag even if it was a passerby, let alone his friend. Seeing that Shwebugue was about to run, Lu Li didn't chase after him. He threw his saber at Shwebugue's thigh. Hearing the sound of wind behind him, Shwebugue immediately tried to dodge. However, he was injured. Lu Li's speed was too fast. Shwebugue's thigh was hit. Ah! Shwebugue let out another miserable cry and rolled around on the ground. Lu Xia and the other escort were trembling. Just now, Lu Li almost killed Shwebugue. If he threw it any higher, Shwebugue would have been pierced through. Lu Li walked over step by step and stood next to Shwebugue. He looked at him coldly as if he was looking at a dead man. He lifted his leg and dark force shone on it. He was about to smash Shwebugue's head with one kick. "Don't kill me, you can't kill me." Fear came from the depth of Shwebugue's soul. He felt Lu Li was like a Xian beast without any feelings. He covered the wound on his abdomen with one hand and grabbed the long saber in his thigh with the other. With a trembling voice, he said, "If you dare to kill me, my father will definitely lead people to flatten the Blood Dragon Island. By then, all of the Lu family will die." It would have been better if Lu Li didn't mention this. As soon as he did, Lu Li became furious. He lifted his leg and kicked down. Lu Yi was scared out of her wits. The efficacy of the pellets seemed to have weakened. She crawled up and shouted, "No, you can't kill him. Lu Li, stop." The Lu family hadn't bought the green dwarfs yet. Once Shwebugue was killed, things would be irreversible. Shwecho would bring people over to flatten the Blood Dragon Island. At the very least, Lu Li would be killed. Hearing Lu Yi's voice, Lu Li's leg paused for a moment. Then he changed his direction and stepped on Shwebugue's other leg. Crack! One of Shwebugue's leg bones was crushed. He let out another miserable cry and almost passed out because of the pain. Lu Li moved his leg back and looked back at Lu Yi. She was shaking her head desperately. Her eyes were pleading and she kept murmuring for Lu Li not to kill Shwebugue. Looking at Lu Yi's tear-stained face, the killing intent in Lu Li's heart weakened and he calmed down. He didn't look at Shwebugue again. He walked over in strides, carried Lu Yi and ran outside. Lu Xia and Shwecho were scared silly. They didn't know what to do. After a while, Lu Xia came to his senses and shouted, "Something is wrong. Go and report to Patriarch." The two didn't dare to stay here for fear that they would be killed by the furious Shwebugue. They ran back to the Lu family fortress. The two patriarchs of the Lu family fortress were frightened when they heard the news. They hurried to the Plenilune Pond to get Shwebugue and several escorts back. Shwebugue had lost too much blood and passed out. Luckily, he didn't die. He was saved after some treatment. The two patriarchs didn't dare to make the decision, nor would they let the warriors of the Blood Evil Island leave. When Patriarch 7 and Patriarch 9 came back, the two were scared as well. Of course, they were angry. Since something had happened, it must be solved. Patriarch 7 and the others had a discussion and asked Patriarch 9 to carry Shwebugue and the others back. Also, they did it in a big way. More than 20 people went. Patriarch 9 brought people to carry Shwebugue and the others back to the Blood Evil Island. He left them at the dock without giving any explanation. He only left a few words for Shwecho to discipline Shwebugue. The Blood Evil Island was shocked. How could their young island owner be hurt like this? Several patriarchs came after hearing the news. They asked the escorts what happened, but the three escorts faltered and didn't dare to tell the truth. Soon, Shwecho was alarmed. After some inquiries, Shwecho felt ashamed. Many patriarchs were angry. They clamored to kill their way to the Blood Dragon Island and beat the Lu family into submission. Right at that moment, Patriarch 7 came alone. Shwecho suppressed the patriarchs and received Patriarch 7 in embarrassment. Patriarch 7 apologized as soon as he arrived. He had been trying to persuade Lu Yi to marry Shwebugue recently. Lu Yi was already a little tempted, But now that something like this happened, Lu Yi was completely heartbroken. He also said that Xue Bugui should take care of his wounds. Later, he would persuade Lu Yi to find a way for the two families to become in-laws. From now on, the Lu family would have to rely on Xuechou. If it weren't for the fact that the patriarchs didn't agree, Patriarch 7 would have joined the Blood Evil Brotherhood. Xuechou was embarrassed by Patriarch 7's mixed words. He sent someone to fetch many gifts for Patriarch 7 to bring back to apologize to Lu Yi. He also said that he would teach Xue Bugui a good lesson. Xue Bugui failed to rape Lu Yi. Lu Li cut open his stomach and broke one of his legs. It seemed that the two sides were even. But if it were Lu Li who had raped the lady of the Xue family, the Lu family would have been destroyed in an instant. The Blood Evil Brotherhood was strong while the Lu family was weak. Patriarch 7 and the others had to resort to this method to compromise. They had to buy some time first. When the Lu family became stronger, they could get back at them. When Patriarch 7 came back, he immediately found Lu Li and Lu Yi who had recovered. He told them to bring the 6,000 blood caterpillar fruits to the Heaven Prison City tomorrow. 6,000 blood caterpillar fruits could be sold for 150,000 Xian crystals, which could be used to buy 2 green dwarf. With 2 green dwarfs of the Soul Pond realm, the Lu family could at least put up a fight if the Blood Evil Island wanted to go to war. Okay. Lu Li nodded and agreed at once. When Xue Bugui recovered, he would think of a way to get back at the Lu family. With Xuechou's help, Xue Bugui might not make trouble for the Lu family, but he would definitely make trouble for Lu Li. Chapter 116. Before dawn the next day, Lu Li and Lu Yi set off. This time, Patriarch 9 and 2 other patriarchs escorted them to the God-Down Island in person. But as soon as they got on the island, they went their separate ways. Once on the island, it would be safe. Whoever dared to make a move on the island would be the enemy of the God-Down Island. The two went directly to the God-Down City. They took the teleportation formation to the Heaven Prison City just after dawn. There were fewer people at this time of day, so taking the teleportation formation would not attract attention. After taking the teleportation formation twice, the dizziness was not so strong this time. There was only a slight feeling of nausea. The two didn't go to the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce right away. They found the tavern they stayed at last time and checked into 2 rooms to have some rest. Even though Lu Yi had recovered physically, she was still in low spirit. She had been quiet and she didn't look well. Lu Li didn't know how to comfort her. He was too embarrassed to even mention it. After all, it would be rubbing salt on Lu Yi's wound. At noon, Lu Li knocked on Lu Yi's door. Seeing that she still didn't look well, Lu Li said, "How about you rest here? If you trust me, I will go and sell the blood caterpillar fruits by myself." How could Lu Yi not trust Lu Li? Without Lu Li, how could the Lu family grow the blood caterpillar fruits? She knew she didn't look well, so she nodded and went back to her room. Lu Li went to the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce with a big bag on his back. He went directly to the door on the left and asked to see Chief Steward Bai. Chief Steward Bai received Lu Li warmly. His eyes glowed when he saw the big bag on Lu Li's back. When Lu Li said that he had brought 6,000 blood caterpillar fruits with him, Chief Steward Bai gasped. "Your order is big. I need to ask for instructions from my superior. Please wait a moment." Chief Steward Bai smiled apologetically and left. Not long afterward, Chief Steward Bai came back with a beautiful lady. Lu Li's eyes lit up again when he saw the lady. Madame Yen was wearing a black silk dress today. Ladies rarely wore black dresses because it would make them look older. However, Madame Yen in the black silk dress made Lu Li feel she was too beautiful and sexy. Just like the others, she was wrapped up tightly. However, the seductive charm that came from her bones was enchanting. One look from her almost made Lu Li unable to stand it. Lu Li was afraid to look at Madame Yen. She smiled sweetly and said, "Hello, Brother Lu. We meet again." Luli raised his head and looked at Madame Yan's face. He didn't dare to look at her well-developed body. He smiled back and said, "Madame Yan, nice to meet you." Madame Yan looked at the big bag of blood caterpillar fruit. She nodded and said, "Brother Lu, you are really generous this time. 6,000 blood caterpillar fruits at one time. You are quite efficient. Not bad, not bad." Luli didn't respond, fearing that Madame Yan might get some information out of him. Madame Yan waved her hand and said, "Chief Steward Bai, take these fruits down and have them appraised. If there is nothing wrong, we will settle the bill with Brother Lu according to the original price." "Yes, madam." Chief Steward Bai left with the blood caterpillar fruit. Madame Yan didn't leave. Instead, she said with a smile, "Brother Lu, can you only grow blood caterpillar fruits in your place? Couldn't he plant other spiritual herbs and spiritual fruits? If you can grow good quality spirit grass and spirit fruits, we can also purchase them at a high price." The rest of the spirit herbs and spirit fruits? Luli was intrigued. The reason why the quality of the blood caterpillar fruits was so good was that the animal tooth pendant improved the blood. If there were other spiritual herbs and spiritual fruits that also needed to be watered with blood, wouldn't it be possible to grow them as well? Luli thought about it and said, "Madame Yan, are there any spiritual herbs and spiritual fruits that need to be watered with blood? We have a special formula that can improve blood. If there are such spiritual herbs and spiritual fruits, we can improve the quality." Madame Yan's pretty eyes showed great interest. She just said it casually. She didn't expect that Luli could really grow them. She waved her hand and asked a maid to get another chief steward. After some questions, they found 2 kinds of elixirs that needed to be grown with blood: Fire Fairy Lucid Ganoderma and Netherworld Root. In order to grow these 2 kinds of elixirs, they must be watered with the blood of Xian beast. The higher the rank of the Xian beast, the better the quality. After the chief steward explained the methods of growing the 2 kinds of elixirs, Luli rolled his eyes and said, "Okay, enough. We don't have the ability for now. We can think about it later." 1 seed of the 2 kinds of elixirs would cost more than 1,000 Xian crystals. Also, they needed the blood of at least 3rd-rank Xian beasts to grow. 3rd-rank Xian beasts were comparable to warriors of the Soul Pond realm. How could the Lu family catch them? If they were to buy them, where would they get so many Xian crystals? Also, wouldn't it cause a huge sensation if they bought so many 3rd-rank Xian beasts? Madame Yan smiled lightly and asked the chief steward to leave. She looked at Luli and said, "Brother Lu, do you think we can cooperate? We will provide everything and you will provide the formula. By then, if we can grow elixirs of high quality, we will split the profits in half." Half? This was too tempting. Also, he could immediately get on the boat of the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce. Who would dare to mess with him and the Lu family in the Thousand Island Lake in the future? Something is not right. Luli thought about it. He secretly put up his guard. There must be something wrong if something was out of the ordinary. Which family did the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce belong to? The old man of the Heaven Prison, the #1 overlord of the Thousand Island Lake. He was even the most important figure of the entire northern desert. The old man of the Heaven Prison had dominated the Thousand Island Lake for 2,000 years. How much wealth did he have? How many resources? Perhaps all the top-level treasured lands and resources of the Lu family belonged to the old man of the Heaven Prison. How much wealth did the Lu family have? Unimaginable. If so, why did Madame Yan want to cooperate with him? Cooperate with a nobody like him, a mediocre family like the Lu family? Even if they could grow some good elixirs, how many Xian crystals could they make? How many Xian crystals could the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce make in a day? Those green dwarfs could be sold for 50,000 Xian crystals each, not to mention anything else. Would Madame Yan care about the money she could make by cooperating with him? Luli thought about it and felt something was not right. If Madame Yen was not after the Xian crystals, then she must be after something else. For example, the animal tooth pendant he had, or his bloodline skill, or Lu Renhuang? The more Lu Li thought about it, the more he felt it was unreliable. He thought about it for a while and said in a euphemistic way, "Madame Yen, I need to think about it. I will go back and discuss with the patriarchs of the family. Thank you for your kindness." Madame Yan's eyes glowed. She had guessed many things from the changes in Lu Li's expressions. She didn't say anything. She stood up and said, "Okay. If you want to cooperate, you can come to me at any time. I have something else to do. I will leave now." Wait. Lu Li thought of something and said, "Madame Yen, I want to buy 2 green dwarfs from you." "Well, I don't want you to give me a discount. I just want to know if you can send them over secretly for us?" Madame Yen sat down again. She thought about it and said, "Is 2 enough? Why don't I just buy 10? I will give you a discount. 40,000 Xian crystals for 1. I can send them over secretly and quickly." 10? Lu Li shook his head and said, "We don't have that many Xian crystals. Also, we cannot afford to feed them now. Put them on credit." Madame Yen said disapprovingly, "You can put the Xian crystals of the green dwarfs on credit. This time, you can sell more than 100,000 Xian crystals. It is enough to feed the green dwarfs. How could there be such a good thing in the world? How could you put hundreds of thousands of Xian crystals on credit?" Lu Li said embarrassedly, "You are not afraid that we will run away? Ha ha ha." Chapter 117. That's true. Lu Li touched his nose. Not even the 3 fifth-rank royal families had the guts to owe the old man of heaven prison family Xian crystals. Okay. Lu Li clenched his teeth and said, "Thank you, Madame Yen. When we grow the blood caterpillar fruits, we will pay back the Xian crystals we owe you in batches. As for the interest, you can calculate it later and pay it back together. I will write a promissory note now." With the 10 green dwarfs, there was nothing for the Blood Evil Island to be afraid of. As long as the Goddown Island did not attack them, they would have the absolute ability to protect themselves in that area. No. Seeing that Lu Li was about to stand up and write a promissory note, Madame Yen put on a solemn expression. She looked at Lu Li seriously and said, "No interest, no promissory note. But if I need your help in the future, Brother Lu, please don't put it off." "Of course not." Lu Li stood up quickly and said, "Madame Yen, I will return the favor in the future." "Good. Come and visit me when you have time. You are always welcome here." Madame Yen stood up and left. Lu Li was in a daze. Madame Yen thought too highly of him. She lent him hundreds of thousands of Xian crystals, just for a favor. Was his favor worth so much? When Madame Yen went back to her small hall, Chief Steward Bai came out. His sparse eyebrows were knitted together. He said with concern, "Madam, don't you think too highly of Lu Li? You lent him 400,000 Xian crystals at once? If the family knew about this, they would look into it." Chief Steward Bai had sent someone to investigate the information about Lu Li and the Lu family. He had a complete grasp of the information. He even knew everything about the Wuling County. Even though Lu Li's rise was fast, Chief Steward Bai didn't think it was worth the Bai family's investment. "What do you know?" Madame Yen shook her head. She looked out of the window and said, 400,000 Xian crystals. If Lu Li dares to ask for it, I can give it to him directly. If Lu Li is really that man's son, I will give him whatever he wants." "That man? You mean Lu Renhuang?" Chief Steward Bai did not understand. Lu Li's parents had been missing since he was a child. There was not much information about his parents in the intelligence that he had investigated. He only knew that Lu Renhuang came from the outside and was a powerful warrior. "That's right." Madame Yen nodded and said, "If Lu Renhuang is Lu Renhuang of the Central Plains, then Lu Li's identity will be extraordinary. Have you heard of the most powerful bloodline of the Central Plains, the Lu family? Chief Steward Bai's aged body trembled. He said in disbelief, "You mean, Lu Li is a disciple of the Lu family of the Central Plains? How is this possible?" "I'm not sure either." Madame Yen frowned and said with hesitation, "Lu Li has awakened the temple but not the King Kong bloodline. I don't understand this. If he was a direct descendant of the Lu clan, how could he not awaken the King Kong bloodline? But Lu Li's sister was of Fire Phoenix birth? I can't figure it out. Chief Steward Bai was even more puzzled. After a moment of silence he asked, "If he's a direct descendant of the Lu family, how could he have wandered outside for so many years? Lu Li's father has been missing for years. The Lu family will send someone to look for him. They can find Lu Li and his sister easily." "I don't understand that either." Madame Yen thought about it and waved her hand. "Don't worry about it now. Anyway, they have the ability to pay back the 400,000 Xian crystals. Let's do him a favor. If he is a disciple of the Lu family, we can build a good relationship." Chief Steward Bai nodded. He understood what Madame Yen meant. It was better to kill the wrong person than to let him go. Lending hundreds of thousands of Xian crystals to Lu Li was nothing for Madame Yen. Lu Li still had the ability to pay it back. On the off chance that Lu Li really was a direct descendant of the Lu family, this favor would be worth a lot. Lu Li got more than 100,000 Xian crystals. He settled everything with Chief Steward Bai, bought some heaven Xian pellets, and went back to the tavern. After he told Lu Yi about the matter, Lu Yi's complexion became much better. However, it was just a moment of surprise. Lu Yi's expression darkened again. She looked at Lu Li and said, "Lu Li, does Madame Yen like you? Otherwise, why would she do you such a big favor?" Lu Li rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, "What are you talking about? She is a noblewoman of a super family. What am I? How can she like me?" Lu Yi thought it made sense. She was in a good mood. She thought about how the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce would secretly send 10 green dwarfs to the Blood Dragon Island. She blushed as if she could see a powerful Lu family rising up quickly. The two stayed at the tavern for a day and teleported back to the God-Down Island at midnight. They cultivated until dawn again before they left the county in a hurry. Just like last time, Patriarch 9 caught up with them before they reached the dock. Patriarch 9 and the others were so excited that they almost cried when they learned that the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce had lent 10 green dwarfs to the Lu family on credit. When the Lu family was at its peak, they only had 3 powerful warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Now that they had fled to the Thousand Island Lake, in such a short time, the Lu family had 10 warriors of the Soul Pond realm? Patriarch 9 and the others felt like they were in a dream. It was too surreal. People looked at Lu Li in a different light. Even Patriarch 9 was more respectful when talking to Lu Li. Even though Lu Li was still the guest warrior of the Lu family, at this moment, he was more important than Lu Yi, the family patriarch. When they got back to the Blood Dragon Island, the news was sent to Patriarch 7 and the others. The patriarchs were so excited that they could hardly control themselves. Even though it would cost a lot of Xian crystals to raise the green dwarfs, as long as the Blood Dragon Island could be saved, the Lu family would be able to get a steady stream of Xian crystals with the help of blood caterpillar fruit. The Lu family would become more and more powerful. Soon, the glory of the Lu family could be restored. Lu Li walked out of the conference hall and asked Lu Yi to buy pellets for him to reach the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm. Then he went directly back to his attic in the bamboo hill to cultivate. For him, buying 100 green dwarfs didn't matter to him. His own strength was the most important thing. 100 green dwarfs would still be a third-rank force. If the God-Down Island were to attack, one warrior of the Fate Wheel realm could wipe them all out. It wouldn't make much sense. Without his own strength, even if he could bring 1,000 green dwarfs to a 5th-rank royal family, he wouldn't be able to become a guest warrior. He wouldn't be able to use the teleportation formation, go to the Central Plains, and save his parents. Now, Patriarch 7 and the others had no objection to Lu Li's request, let alone Lu Yi. They sent someone to the Goddown Island to buy a large number of pellets for Lu Li to cultivate. Of course, they also bought a lot of mystical materials painfully for the green dwarfs to eat. The alien races didn't eat food, only mystical materials. One green dwarf would eat mystical materials worth 30 Xian crystals a day. 10 green dwarfs would eat 300 Xian crystals a day, 3,000 Xian crystals for 10 days, almost 10,000 a month, more than 100,000 a year. Shuebugui's leg was broken by Lu Li and he was badly wounded. Shuebugui would not let it go. This time, Lu Li and Lu Yi brought 6,000 blood caterpillar fruits to the Heaven Prison City. This would have a great impact on the sales of blood caterpillar fruits at the Blood Evil Island. The conflict between the Lu family and the Blood Evil Island was irreconcilable. A war could break out at any time. For the sake of everyone's lives, Patriarch 7 and the others had to make up their minds and prepare to support the 10 green dwarfs. They had to ensure the safety of the Blood Dragon Island first before they could make further plans. P.S. Chapter 5 is up. Chapter 118. One night after 10 days, a mysterious man came to the Blood Dragon Island and found his way directly to the cabin on the bamboo hill where Lu Li lived. This person was actually Chief Steward Bai. In just 10 days, the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce had sent 10 green dwarfs here, and Chief Steward Bai had guaranteed that no information had been leaked. Lu Li was not surprised that Chief Steward Bai could find him so easily. The Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce belonged to the Bai family, and the Bai family was the family of the old man of Heaven Prison. It was so easy for the Bai family to find someone of the entire Thousand Island Lake. Lu Li asked Chief Steward Bai to send the 10 green dwarfs to the bamboo hill. After Chief Steward Bai left, Lu Li went to find Patriarch 7 and the others. When everyone heard this, they all gathered inside the bamboo mountain. Looking at the 10 green-skinned dwarves in the night sky, they were all extremely excited. The green dwarfs were all implanted with soul worms and tamed. Chief Steward Bai gave Lu Li 10 jade talismans. As long as he consumed the jade talismans, he would be the master of the 10 green dwarfs and they would obey all orders. Lu Li threw the jade talisman to Lu Yi. Lu Yi used her Xian energy to refine it. She controlled a green dwarf to fight against Patriarch 7. Patriarch 7 couldn't even take one move from the green dwarf. The attacks of these green dwarfs were very simple. They relied on their lightning-fast speed and the sharp claws in their hand. If it wasn't for Lu Yi's quick control, the 7th Elder would have been killed by the claw. After confirming the combat power of the green dwarfs, everyone became even more excited, and they all felt much more confident. Elder 7 and the others discussed for a while and decided to hide the green dwarfs in the bamboo mountain first. At the same time, they set up restrictions around the bamboo mountain to prevent anyone from getting close. Now that the green dwarfs were exposed, it would be hard for the Lu family not to attract attention. This was the Lu family's hidden trump card. If it was suddenly used, it could be used as a surprise weapon. If it was exposed, it would only bring harm to the Lu family. Lu Li didn't mind. He didn't need to worry anyway. He just asked Patriarch 7 and the others to build the houses further away from him. The Lu family got busy again. They built 3 sealed castles in the bamboo mountain and put the green dwarfs in them. Some inhibition formations were set up outside the bamboo hill, and Lu Li was told that this was Lu Li's cultivation place and nobody was allowed to come close. The 7th Elder and the others were prepared to do something big. They found a new medicinal field near the bamboo mountain and the valley. It was also a valley, and they were going to plant blood caterpillar fruits on a large scale. Recently, Patriarch 7 had been visiting the Goddown Island to make friends with the bigwigs there. Xian crystals were poured out like water, and all kinds of gifts were given out. He made friends with 2 elders of the Su family who had real power. Patriarch Seven's purpose was clear. He didn't want the Su family to help the Lu family. He only wanted the Su family to remain neutral when the Blood Evil Island attacked the Lu family. The herbal field was soon reclaimed, and blood rhinoceroses were bought in batches, as well as a large number of cultivation resources. All the family members of the Lu family had been brought over. Patriarch Lu had also gathered some disciples of the Lu family who had escaped. The entire Blood Dragon Island had become boisterous. The Blood Evil Island finally realized something was wrong. The Blood Dragon Island was near the Blood Evil Island. How could the change of the Blood Dragon Island escape the eyes of the scouts of the Blood Evil Island? In particular, the dozens of blood rhinoceroses by the sea were too obvious. There was no way for them to hide. Although Patriarch 7 would come over to chat with Xuecho from time to time, saying that he was working on Lu Yi's work and was preparing for her to marry Xuebugue, Patriarch 7 did not dare to do so. But it had been more than a month since the day Xuebugue broke his leg. Was she still considering? The Lu family sold a large number of high-quality blood caterpillar fruits to the market. There were only a few places of the Thousand Island Lake that could produce blood caterpillar fruit. Inevitably, the blood caterpillar fruits of the Lu family had impacted the Blood Evil Island. Over the past month, the Blood Evil Island's income of Xian crystals had dropped by several times. Blood caterpillar fruits were the lifeline of the Blood Evil Island. The patriarchs of the Blood Evil Island were in a panic because the blood caterpillar fruits could not be sold at a good price. Once the income of Xian crystals decreased, it would be fatal for the Blood Evil Island. Xuecho sent out a large number of people to investigate. Soon, they found the reason. They found that a large number of high-quality blood caterpillar fruits had entered the market. Their scouts went to the other 4 islands that produced blood caterpillar fruits to investigate, but they found that the days on those islands were even more difficult, and the blood caterpillar fruits were almost unsold. The people of the Blood Evil Brotherhood were not idiot. They thought about how the Lu family had bought so many blood rhinoceroses and how the disciples of the Lu family seemed to be living more and more comfortably. How could 2 patriarchs break through to the late stage of the Spirit Sea realm in such a short time? Xuecho did not believe that there was no ghost involved. Without a large amount of resources, it was almost impossible for patriarchs of the Lu family to make a breakthrough. They were still young. Only with a large amount of resources could they have the chance to make a breakthrough. During the Battle of the Wu Ling County, the resources accumulated by the Lu family over the years were wasted. Where could the patriarchs of the Lu family find the Xian crystals to buy high-level pellets to break through to the realm? Investigate! Xuecho ordered in rage. He sent out all the high-level scouts to investigate the Lu family. Soon, more suspicious points were found. There were 3 places on the Blood Dragon Island that had many inhibition formations. The scouts could not even get close. The residents on the island also responded that nobody was allowed to get close to those 3 places. Also, the Lu family would often bleed the blood rhinoceroses and send the blood to the 2 valleys. What was the blood of the blood rhinoceroses for? To grow blood caterpillar grasses, of course. Everything was clear. The high-level blood caterpillar fruits that entered the market were all grown by the Lu family. Xuecho and all the patriarchs flew into a rage. Many patriarchs clamored that they would destroy the Lu family at once. In Xuecho's eyes, the Lu family had become ungrateful. He took in the Lu family, but he didn't expect that the Lu family would cut off the lifeline of the Blood Evil Island. Someone, send my order. Ask Lu Shanhe and Lu Yi to come here. Tell them that I have something to discuss with them. Xuecho thought for a while, and asked someone to send a message to Lu Yi and Patriarch 7. Unexpectedly, Lu Yi and Lu Shanhe both politely refused, saying that they had too many things to deal with and that they would come back in a couple of days. Lu Yi and Patriarch 7 were not idiot. Recently, the scouts of the Blood Evil Brotherhood frequently entered the Blood Dragon Island. The Lu family had been aware of it. They also knew that they could no longer hide the truth. The Blood Evil Brotherhood was going to take action against the Lu family. How could they walk into the trap? The group of patriarchs of the Blood Evil Brotherhood flew into a rage again. They were going to dispatch troops to the Blood Dragon Island immediately. Xueqiu, on the other hand, was concerned about his reputation. He was afraid that people would accuse him of biting the hand that fed him. Once again, he sent a message that if Lu Yi and Patriarch 7 didn't come, they would take back the Blood Dragon Island. Lu Yi and Patriarch 7 still didn't go. They just replied that they were willing to buy the Blood Dragon Island with Xian crystals and would offer 10,000 Xian crystals to the Blood Evil Brotherhood every month. For the Blood Evil Island, 10,000 Xian crystals was not a small amount. If it were under other circumstances, Xueqiu wouldn't go to war. The thing was, the Lu family had cut off the lifeline of the Blood Evil Island and robbed them of their livelihood. How could they come to an agreement? Also, Xueqiu wanted to get the secret recipe of growing blood caterpillar fruits from the Lu family. Xueqiu immediately issued an announcement that the Lu family had to leave the Blood Dragon Island within 3 days. Otherwise, the Blood Evil Brotherhood would take back the Blood Dragon Island by force. Xueqiu also announced that the Lu family, as an affiliated force of the Blood Evil Brotherhood, disobeyed their orders. They killed scouts of the Blood Evil Brotherhood and wounded Xue Bugue severely. Therefore, the Blood Evil Brotherhood had to send out troops to fight back. The war was on the verge of breaking out. P.S. Should we break out today? Chapter 119. In an elegant small side hall of the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce, Madame Yen was looking through some materials when Chief Steward Bai hurried in and said in a low voice, "Madam, there is news from the God-Down Island that the Blood Evil Island is going to attack the Blood Dragon Island." Oh, got it. Madame Yen didn't even raise her head as she continued to look through the documents. Chief Steward Bai frowned. He looked at Madame Yen and asked again in a low voice, "Madam? Do you need someone to keep an eye on him?" Madame Yen raised her head, stared at Chief Steward Bai and scolded, "Have you forgotten the rules set by our forefathers? The Bai family will not interfere in any disputes between forces at the Thousand Island Lake. Apart from massacring civilians on a large scale, the Bai family will not get involved." Chief Steward Bai touched his nose in embarrassment and mumbled, "Didn't you say that Lu Li is a disciple of the Lu family? I am afraid that if Lu Li dies at the Thousand Island Lake, the Lu family will turn the Thousand Island Lake into a bloodbath when they find out." Chief Steward Bai's concern was not unreasonable. If Lu Li really was a disciple of the immediate Lu family, how could he die at the Thousand Island Lake? Once the Lu family knew, the Thousand Island Lake would suffer a bloodbath and the Bai family would be implicated as well. Madame Yen waved her hand and said, "Rules are rules. No matter how powerful the Lu family is, they have to be reasonable." Was it written on Lu Li's forehead that he was a disciple of the Lu family? Also, when did I know that Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family? There are still many doubtful points that need to be confirmed. Lu Li had been to the temple, but he didn't awaken the Lu family bloodline. This was the biggest doubt. If Lu Renhuang was that Lu Renhuang from the Lu family of the Central Plains, how could Lu Li not awaken the King Kong bloodline? Chief Steward Bai nodded his head, then asked tentatively, "So we don't care?" Madame Yen lowered her head and continued to read. After a while, she threw a document to Lu Li and said, "Go and get in touch with this man. Ask someone to send a message to him. Tell him that Lu Li is the son of Lu Renhuang." Chief Steward Bai took the information and glanced at it. A trace of astonishment appeared in his eyes as he said, "It's him? Wait. Madam, didn't you say you weren't sure about Lu Li's identity? Also, is there any special meaning in telling this person?" Tell this person, and we can be sure if Lu Li is the son of Lu Renhuang." Madame Yen smiled mysteriously. She waved her hand and said, "Don't worry about the rest. When the war is about to begin, just let me know. That person is arrogant and unruly, always on his own, neither good nor evil. Will he care about this matter?" Chief Steward Bai wanted to ask more, but when he saw Madame Yen looking down at the documents, he gave up. Madame Yen was the most outstanding person in the younger generation of the Bai family. She had her reasons for doing things. Chief Steward Bai just had to carry out her orders. As soon as the announcement was made by the Blood Evil Island, the Blood Dragon Island was shrouded in the clouds of war. Warriors of the Lu family were all nervous. This battle was inevitable. Even if the Lu family withdrew from the Blood Dragon Island now, they would still be hunted down. What the Blood Evil Island wanted was not the Blood Dragon Island, but the secret recipe of the Lu family to grow blood caterpillar grasses. If they could win this fight, the Lu family would have a firm foothold at the Thousand Island Lake. With the help of the blood caterpillar grass, the Lu family could develop rapidly and restore the glory of the Lu family. If the Lu family lost, there would only be two outcomes for the Lu family. Either the Lu family would be annexed by the Blood Evil Island, or the Lu family would be destroyed. Anyhow, the Lu family would cease to exist, and the fate awaiting Lu Li and Lu Yi would be miserable. Therefore, Patriarch 7 and the others were actively preparing for the war. Patriarch 7 went to the Goddown Island in person and brought 30,000 Xian crystals with him to two patriarchs of the Su family. He wanted to see if they could persuade the Su family to help. At the very least, they should stay neutral. Patriarch 9 also went to the Goddown Island with tens of thousands of Xian crystals to purchase pellet. He was going to buy some special pellets so that they could have a miraculous effect in the upcoming fight. He was also going to buy some special inhibition formations to assist in the fight. Lu Li and Lu Yi followed him secretly. Lu Li had reached the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm, but he consumed dozens of expensive pellets, the Heaven Xian pellet. Lu Li had thought that he had consumed too many Heaven Xian pellet. However, when he asked Lu Yi, he found out that his consumption was actually small. 3 patriarchs consumed hundreds of Heaven Xian pellets each in order to reach the later stage of the Spirit Sea realm. Last time when Lu Li went to the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce, he brought back more than 100,000 Xian crystals. Later on, the Lu family expanded their farms and harvested 5,000 blood caterpillar fruit. Lu Yi and Patriarch 7 went to the Heaven Prison Island. Madame Yen didn't deduct any Xian crystals and brought back more than 100,000 Xian crystals. There were more than 200,000 Xian crystals in total, but more than half of them had been consumed. Lu Li reckoned that he would have to spend all his Xian crystals on this trip to the Goddown Island. Lu Li did not come to the Goddown Island to hang around. As one of the most powerful warriors of the Lu family, he must participate in the fight. He came to the Goddown Island to buy Xian artifacts. The Heaven Kailan sword was not a Xian artifact. For Lu Li's current fighting capacity, it was of little significance. If he could have a good Xian artifact, then his fighting capacity would be enhanced. The Lu family was not in need of Xian crystals. Naturally, they would need a good Xian artifact. Lu Li and Lu Yi did not go to the Su family Chamber of Commerce, nor to the branch of the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce at the Goddown Island. Instead, they went to a chamber of commerce called Xian Artifact Cabinet. The Xian Artifact Cabinet was quite famous. There were chambers of commerce not only at the Thousand Island Lake, but also at the entire northern desert. It was the property of a super family. The other families of the northern desert could not enter the Thousand Island Lake, but the Xian Artifact Cabinet had many connections. Somehow, they persuaded the old man of Heaven Prison to open a chamber of commerce at the Thousand Island Lake. What the Xian Artifact Cabinet sold was, of course, Xian Artifact Cabinet. Almost all the best Xian artifacts of the northern desert came from the Xian artifact cabinet. If Luli wanted a handy Xian artifact, this place would be his first choice. However, Luli was disappointed after he walked around the main hall of the Xian artifact cabinet. It was not that there were not enough Xian artifacts in the Xian artifact cabinet. There were 10 Earth-grade Xian artifacts in the main hall. Too bad Luli didn't like any of them. He felt they were not suitable for him. There were several maids and 3 shopkeepers in the Xian artifact cabinet. One of them noticed the disappointment in Luli's eyes. She said with a smile, "Honorable guest, are you not satisfied with these Xian artifacts? What do you need? Can you tell me?" Luli thought about it and said, "These Xian artifacts are too light. I want heavy weapons." "Heavy weapons?" The smile on the shopkeeper's chubby face disappeared. He asked in a serious voice, "How heavy can a weapon be considered heavy?" Luli casually said, "At least more than 11,000 pounds? Do you have any? If not, I will go to other places." "Yes." The shopkeeper put on a smile, but he asked with confusion, "Many Xian artifacts can increase strength. Why do you want such heavy Xian artifacts? You know, it will be inconvenient to release Xian skills if the Xian artifact is too heavy." Luli knew nothing about Xian skills. The only Xian skill he knew was the rolling thunder. When he rushed to the Thousand Island Lake, all the Xian skills of the Lu family were lost. Luli never asked about it again after he asked Lu Yi about it. Luli waved his hand and said, "Don't worry about it. If you have it, show it to me. If not, then forget it. Please come with me." The shopkeeper made a gesture of invitation and led Luli and Lu Yi into a side hall. He called over one of his men and said, "Ask someone to bring the mighty heaven halberd here for our honorable guests to have a look." Halberd. Luli frowned. He was used to using a saber. He might not be used to using a halberd. However, since the shopkeeper had sent someone to get it, Luli was too embarrassed to leave right now. He had to take a look first. After a while, 2 people carried a huge iron box in. The iron box was more than 6 feet long and 30 feet wide. Luli and Lu Yi looked at each other. This weapon was too big. "Open it and show it to our honorable guest." Chapter 120. The halberd was, in fact, a combination of a dagger axe and a spear. It had both a straight edge and a horizontal edge, in the shape of a cross or a BU. Therefore, the halberd could be used for many purposes, such as hooking, pecking, piercing, and cutting. Its lethality was better than that of a dagger axe or a spear. If it were an average halberd, Luli wouldn't feel comfortable using it and he wouldn't like it. However, Luli fell in love with the mighty heaven halberd at first sight. An average halberd looked like a spear, but this one was more like a broadsword, a heavy sword. The halberd was more than 6 feet long. It didn't have a straight edge or a horizontal edge. It was a straight edge like a sword, but the top was flat, with a width of 1 foot. The blade was thick and heavy. It was made of strange cold iron with beautiful patterns on it. It looked gorgeous. To put it in a more direct way, the halberd was more like an iron ruler with blades on both sides. At the bottom of the iron ruler was a sword hilt that was more than 3 feet long. Luli walked over and grabbed the hilt of the mighty heaven halberd with one hand. He lifted it up slowly. His eyes glowed again. The halberd was really heavy, at least more than 11,000 pounds. Buzzing. Luli mobilized his Xian energy. The entire halberd glowed in a black light. The patterns on the halberd seemed to be moving about, very gorgeous and domineering. Swish, swish, Luli waved the halberd casually. A shrill sound came out in the air. The halberd turned into a blur. Luli said in surprise, "This mighty heaven halberd, ha ha." The tavern keeper said with a smile, "This halberd is the proud work of a master refiner of the Xian artifact cabinet. Even though it is only of the 3rd rank of the Earth grade, he thinks the value of this weapon is above the 5th rank of the Earth grade. because there is a mysterious inhibition formation in the halberd. It can make use of the strength of the wind to speed up the halberd's attack. Sure enough, Lu Li's doubts were cleared. He just waved the halberd casually and it was so fast. Soon, his eyes became excited. Even though this halberd was not a saber, it was enough for him to exert all his abilities. It was the most suitable weapon he had seen so far. Seeing the excitement in Lu Li's eyes, the tavern keeper explained again, "The mighty heaven halberd weighs 18,000 pounds and it is made entirely of heaven dipper iron. Other than a heaven-grade profound weapon, no other earth-grade profound weapon would be able to break the heaven-raising halberd. This halberd is the treasure of our branch. If it weren't for the two of you, we wouldn't have taken it out." The latter part was obviously nonsense. Seeing that Lu Li liked it, the shopkeeper was ready to raise the price. Lu Yi could tell what the shopkeeper was trying to say, but Lu Li really liked it. She didn't waste time and asked, "Name your price." The shopkeeper cut to the chase and offered directly, 100,000 Xian crystals. Lu Li and Lu Yi gasped. The price quoted by the shopkeeper was too high. This weapon could be exchanged for 2 green dwarfs. Lu Li could tell right away that the shopkeeper was trying to rip him off. He put down the mighty heaven halberd and said, "I can't afford it. Goodbye." Although he liked this halberd a lot, it didn't mean that he could be slaughtered like a pig. The Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce had a branch on the Goddown Island. He could go there to have a look. "Little brother, don't worry. I'm talking about the quoted price to the public." The shopkeeper stood up in a hurry and said with a smile, "A great sword deserves a hero. It is the halberd's good fortune that you like it. You have reached the middle stage of the spirit sea realm at such a young age. You must have a promising future. The Xian Artifact Cabinet wants to make friends with you. Fixed price, 50,000 Xian crystals." Lu Li and Lu Yi were speechless when the price was reduced by half. They looked at each other. Lu Li bargained directly, 20,000 Xian crystals. "I will leave if it is more than that." "Little brother, you are bargaining too hard. Even the cost of 20,000 is more than this," the shopkeeper said with a bitter face. Then he waved his hand and said, "Forget it. 20,000 it is. We at the Xian Artifact Cabinet want to make friends with you." Lu Li and Lu Yi looked at each other again. They felt they were fooled. Judging by the way the shopkeeper was acting, he would agree to 10,000, let alone 20,000. The two of them were still too green. On second thought, Lu Li understood. His price was indeed too high. The halberd was a Xian artifact of the 3rd rank of the Earth grade. Usually, only warriors of the Spirit Sea realm could use Xian artifacts of this rank. It was not convenient for warriors of the Spirit Sea realm to use such a heavy weapon or use Xian skills flexibly. Therefore, the halberd was not easy to sell. Lu Li was taken advantage of today. Lu Yi didn't mind. As long as Lu Li liked it, 20,000 Xian crystals was nothing. Since it was agreed, she didn't bother to bargain. She paid the Xian crystals directly. Lu Li carried the iron box out of the Xian artifact cabinet. "This iron lump is finally sold." The shopkeeper watched Lu Li and Lu Yi leave with a smile on the corner of his mouth. The mighty heaven halberd was indeed the treasure of the store. It had been in the store for 10 years without being sold. Today, he would sell it for 5,000 Xian crystals, let alone 20,000 in the afternoon. Lu Li and Lu Yi met up with several patriarchs. The pellets and inhibition formation artifact needed by Patriarch 9 had been bought. Things did not go well for Patriarch 7. The 2 patriarchs of the Su family accepted the Xian crystals, but they didn't say anything. They didn't say that they would help the Lu family in the fight. They didn't even state clearly that they were neutral. The Goddown Island was the overlord of the sea area with a radius of more than 300 miles. It was normal that they wouldn't make a clear statement. Now that the Xian crystals had been given away, everyone was a bit relieved. If the Goddown Island were to join the fight, then there would be no need to fight the battle. Everyone could just wait for death. The group sailed towards the Blood Dragon Island on the battleship. Patriarch 7, who had just gotten on the island, suddenly glanced to a small forest on the island. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes. Luli and the others looked over but found nothing. Luli asked with confusion, "Grandpa 7, what is it?" Patriarch 7 explained in a low voice, "The scouts of the Blood Evil Island are hiding in that bush." Killing intent flashed in Patriarch 9's eyes. He said with strong killing intent, "Brother 7, I will go and deal with it." "Forget it." Patriarch 7 thought about it and shook his head. "It is not convenient for us to do it. We will give Shuecho an excuse." Luli didn't take it seriously. Things had come to this. What was the point of consideration? The enemy's scouts were hiding on the island. Their every move was known by the enemy. How could they fight the battle? Luli opened the iron box and took out his mighty heaven halberd. With his Xian energy glistening, he dashed towards the scouts like a ferocious tiger. He swung the 6-foot-long halberd and hacked at the bush. There was indeed a scout hiding in the bush. At first, the scout didn't dare to move. By the time he wanted to, it was too late. Luli's halberd, which was like the Grim Reaper's scythe, hacked the scout to death in an instant. "Little White, come out!" Luli shouted in a deep voice. Little White sneaked out from his sleeve. Luli ordered, "Go and patrol the island. Find out the scouts on the outer island." Little White disappeared into the bush. Luli looked back to Patriarch 7 and said, "You can't do it. Let me do it. I will clean up all the scouts on the island for you." "Okay. Luli, be careful." Patriarch 7 nodded. As a matter of fact, it was not that he didn't want to clean up the scouts. The purpose of his words was to wait for Luli to make a move. In this way, if the situation could not be saved, Patriarch 7 could put all the blame on Luli. They could have a way out. P.S. Keep it up. There is one more chapter at night. The more powerful you are, the crazier the old demon can be. Chapter 121. With Little White's help, it was a piece of cake to find out the scouts. Little White was fast. It was small so it could sneak into any place. Also, it had a good sense of smell. It found more than a dozen scouts at once. Luli followed it closely. He would kill all the scouts as long as they were not from the Lu family. He carried his mighty heaven halberd and treated the scouts as practice targets. Later on, he didn't even kill the scouts directly. He would only kill them after a long time with his mighty heaven halberd. After several hours, Luli came back at nightfall with his blood-stained halberd. Patriarch 9 took action with his men. He built many inhibition formations on the island, ready for the war. Patriarch Lu started to deploy hidden sentries to monitor every move on and off the island. Patriarch 7 and Lu arranged for the Lu families to go to the bamboo hill where the green dwarfs were. There were many inhibition formations outside the bamboo hill. The bamboo hill was the safest place on the Blood Dragon Island. Patriarch 9 spent the whole night with his men. The inhibition formations outside the island were ready. The next day, they started to deploy more inhibition formations outside the bamboo hill. This war was very important for the Lu family. They had to go all out. All the blood caterpillar grasses in the 2 valleys were destroyed. The blood in the blood pond was drained. All the disciples of the Lu family went to the bamboo hill. A huge cave was dug out in the belly of the bamboo hill. All the Lu family members were hiding in the cave. Luli sat with his legs crossed in his cabin. After he stored hundreds of Xian power pellets in his spirit sea, he waved his halberd in front of the cabin to make himself more familiar with it. Lu was standing next to him with 10 jade talismans in her hands. The 10 green dwarfs were all under her control. Patriarch 7 and Patriarch 9 all had to fight, so they had no time to control the green dwarf. She was nervous. Seeing Luli waving his halberd leisurely, she somehow felt at ease. It seemed that as long as Luli was here, there was nothing to worry about. Lu Yi was wearing a pink dress with pink flowers embroidered on it. Her hair was tied up in a rose bun, making her look like a flower fairy. She stood there for a while and still couldn't help but ask, "If the Lu family is defeated this time, you can run away by yourself." Lu Li put away his mighty heaven halberd and asked Lu Yi, "Why are you so unconfident?" Lu Yi bit her lips and said, "After all, the Blood Evil Island has been operating here for more than 10 years. I am worried. I mean, if things go wrong, you should just run away. You've helped the Lu family enough. You still need to find your sister." Lu Li smiled and looked to the southeast. After a while, he said, "Lu Yi, don't overthink. We just have to try our best. The outcome is not important. If the Lu family is destroyed and we all die, it is God's will. There is nothing to say. My sister once said, once you step onto the path of martial arts, you will either soar to the sky and stand proudly at the peak, or death will be your final destination. Your sister is really open-minded." Lu Yi walked over and stood side by side with Lu Li. She recalled that night at the Wu Ling County and Lu Ling's calm face. Recalling the scene where Lu Ling was burnt to a crisp, Lu Yi exclaimed, "Your sister is really an amazing woman. Lu Li, don't worry. Maybe your sister will become a big shot in the palace of Goddess soon. She will come back to you before you go to her." Speaking of Lu Ling, Lu Li naturally put on a smile. He nodded and said, "My sister will try her best to come back to me. As long as I am alive, I will try my best to find my sister. She has suffered too much for me. I will definitely become strong. If anyone dares to make her suffer even the slightest bit, I will destroy that person." Lu Yi looked at Lu Li's determined face. Somehow, her heart was pounding. At this moment, she was very envious of Lu Ling. If Lu Li could treat her like Lu Ling, then how happy she would be. The night was coming. The Blood Evil Island gave them a deadline of 3 days. However, none of the warriors of the Lu family dared to sleep tonight. Night was the best time to launch a sneak attack. Lu Li didn't sleep. He sat with his legs crossed and cultivated all night. At dawn, Patriarch Lu rushed back and shouted from the distance, "Here they are!" Patriarch Lu was the master of the Hall of Scouts of the Lu family. The meaning of the shout was clear. The enemy had come. Even a lion would use all its strength to fight a rabbit. Since the Blood Evil Brotherhood could stand on the Thousand Island Lake, they were not a bunch of good-for-nothings. They didn't underestimate their enemies. They chose to attack at dawn because they wanted to take down the Lu family at the lowest cost. Outside of the Blood Dragon Island, 10 battleships came quietly. Hundreds of people were on each battleship. Apart from the Patriarch and 500 warriors that were guarding the island, the rest of the Blood Evil Brotherhood came out in full force. There were 3,000 warriors in total. The 10 battleships didn't attack rashly. Instead, they spread out and quietly surrounded the entire Blood Dragon Island under the cover of the night. 4 warriors of the Soul Pond realm were in charge of each side to prevent the warriors of the Lu family from escaping. On a battleship on the east side, Xueqiu was wearing a golden armor and an eye patch. The only eye he had left was filled with killing intent. After the scouts made sure that the other battleships were in place, he waved his hand and said, "Pass down my order. Act according to the plan." The scouts went to report. The 500 warriors on the 3 battleships got off and sneaked to the island under the cover of the night. From the other 3 directions, 500 warriors dashed down from each side. In total, 2,000 warriors were dispatched. Xueqiu himself didn't move. One of the 3 warriors of the Soul Pond realm came out and the other 2 stayed on the battleship. As far as Xueqiu was concerned, the Lu family had no warriors of the Soul Pond realm and only more than 10 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. 1 warrior of the Soul Pond realm and 2,000 warriors were enough. This time, they sent out so many warriors because they didn't want to let anyone of the Lu family escape. They must get the secret recipe for growing blood caterpillar fruit. Otherwise, 2 warriors of the Soul Pond realm would be enough to wipe out the Lu family. Looking at the warriors swarming towards the Blood Dragon Island, Xue Chou put on a cruel smile. There was a glint of excitement in his one eye. When he got the secret recipe for growing blood caterpillar fruits of the Lu family, the Blood Evil Brotherhood would rise quickly. Maybe in several years, it could become a 4th-rank force. Ah! Miserable cries pierced through the night sky. The smile on Xue Chou's face froze. He shouted in rage, "What is going on?" Whoosh! A scout rushed over and reported, "Island owner, there are many inhibition formations on the Blood Dragon Island. It is the Toxic Dragon Formation. Dozens of our men died and over 100 were wounded." Dozens? Xue Chou's mouth twitched. He was distressed. There were inhibition formations here, so there must be more in other directions. If dozens died on one side, then there would be 100 or 200 on the other side. Send my order. Retreat now. Xue Chou waved his hand and several scouts immediately went to deliver the order. They thought it would be easy to sneak attack at night. Little did they know that the Lu family had already made arrangements. Since sneak attack was impossible, then they would just have to force their way in. It was too dark now. Many inhibition formations could not be found. They had to wait for daybreak to take action. The Blood Dragon Island was surrounded anyway. Not a single one of the Lu family could escape. When the scouts at the front retreated, Xue Chou thought about it and ordered again, after daybreak, let Second Patriarch do it himself. Kill everyone except for Lu Yi and Lu Shanhe. Spare no one. For the sake of prudence, Xue Chou decided to send out another powerful warrior of the Soul Pond realm. Chapter 122. A ray of multicolored light lit up the eastern sky, illuminating the entire eastern sky. Dawn had broken. Outside the Blood Dragon Island, 2 old warriors of the Soul Pond realm slowly unsheathed their weapons. They were followed by 1,000 warriors respectively. Xue Chou changed his strategy. He asked the 2 warriors of the Soul Pond realm to attack from the left and the right. Xue Chou and the other warrior of the Soul Pond realm surrounded the Blood Dragon Island. Once anyone tried to break out, they would be killed mercilessly. Of course, as far as Xue Chou was concerned, nobody could break out. 2 warriors of the Soul Pond realm led 2,000 warriors, including almost 100 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. How many warriors did the Lu family have? Including the old, the weak, women and children, there were only 3,000 or 4,000 warriors. The number of warriors was even less. Including those that came back later, there were less than 300 warriors and only more than a dozen warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. The disparity in strength was too great. Buying some inhibition formations and building some inhibition formations wouldn't affect the overall situation. With warriors of the Soul Pond realm leading the teams, those inhibition formations wouldn't mean much. The inhibition formations that could be bought were not powerful. At best, they could only hurt warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. Patriarch 2 and Patriarch 3 of the Blood Evil Island thought the same. They led the teams separately. Along the way, they found many inhibition formations. Warriors could just take a detour or destroy them easily. Warriors of the Soul Pond realm had soul ponds in their souls. Their souls were many times more powerful than those of the Spirit Sea realm. Hearing, sight, smell and perception were many times more powerful than those of the Spirit Sea realm. Many hidden inhibition formations could be found and seen through easily. Realms could crush people to death. Each realm was much more powerful than the previous one. Basically, it was hard for warriors of higher realms to kill enemies of higher realms. It was getting brighter. The 2 teams were more than a mile into the island. Many inhibition formations were destroyed. Another mile, and they would arrive at the Lu family castle. However, Patriarch 2 and Patriarch 3 of the Blood Evil Island were more cautious. In front of the 2 teams appeared dense woods. The Lu family castle was surrounded by woods, which they had known for a long time. Ambushes could happen in woods. Granted, the Lu family had too few warriors, and it was hard to say who would ambush whom. Still, it was better to be careful. The two of them took the lead and charged into the forest. After carefully checking the surroundings and confirming that there were no ambushes, they continued forward. As they walked, the two elders realized that something was wrong at the same time, because there was suddenly a fog. At first, the two of them thought that it was morning fog and did not pay much attention to it. However, the fog grew thicker and thicker. Even with their eyesight, they could only see a distance of 300 zhang. Something's wrong. The second patriarch of the Blood Evil Brotherhood exclaimed. He roared, "Everyone gather around me. Don't get separated." On the other side of the forest, the third elder immediately asked everyone to gather around him. There was definitely something wrong with this fog. It was very likely that it was a type of fog formation that they had heard of. Illusory fog array. This kind of spirit array restriction was very common. Many large sects often set up such spirit array restriction outside their headquarters to prevent outsiders from seeing the situation inside their sections. However, this kind of restriction formation required a lot of Xian crystals to set up. Apart from showing off, it was not very useful. It could not trap or hurt the enemy. Therefore, many forces would not spend so much money to buy this kind of magic matrix. It was unexpected that the Lu family would spend so much money. However, this island was small, so the number of formation stones needed was not much. He estimated that it would only cost tens of thousands of Xian crystals. There must be something wrong with this abnormal situation. The Lu family would not throw tens of thousands of Xian crystals into the water. The two patriarchs asked people to gather around them immediately. In this way, the Lu family would be at their wits' end. Tut, tut, tut. Right at this moment, there came many sounds of something piercing through the air. The fog was too thick to see clearly. However, the second patriarch sensed danger instinctively. He shouted angrily, "Watch out! Retreat, retreat now! It's arrows! The arrows are poisonous! Everyone watch out! You've bumped into me! Don't panic, don't panic, get out of the forest!" The second patriarch's angry shout did not work. Soon, there came many miserable cries. Arrows filled the sky. These arrows were poisonous. They were fast and powerful. They could even pierce through the armor of ordinary warriors of the Blood Evil gang. Miserable cries came from everywhere. There were noises, curses, and people shouting to retreat. The 1,000 people were in a mess. The visibility was too low. They could not see clearly what was going on around them. Instinctively, they were scared. Similarly, the third patriarch was in the same situation. Countless arrows were shooting at them. Their team was in a mess at once. "What are you doing? Follow me!" Second patriarch shouted angrily. He checked. There were 70 or 80 arrows. It meant the Lu family had sent out 70 or 80 warriors. They might be more than half of the warriors of the Lu family. If the third patriarch also had so many warriors, all the warriors of the Lu family would have been sent out. If they could kill all of them, what other tricks could the Lu family play? Second patriarch rushed forward in a rage. As he rushed forward, he felt something was wrong. There were hundreds of people running towards him. This confused second patriarch. How could the Lu family have so many warriors? Damn, when he saw clearly the people in front of him, second patriarch flew into a rage. There were indeed hundreds of people rushing towards him. However, they were the natives of the Blood Dragon Island. Those people were all crying. While running they shouted, "Lords, please spare our lives. We have no choice. If we don't run, the Lu family will kill us." The forest was covered with white fog. The hundreds of people blocked the way. When second patriarch rushed through the crowd, the Lu family had disappeared. Swish, however, second patriarch could still vaguely hear something on the right front. A cold light flashed in second patriarch's eyes. Looking at the 5 hall chiefs of the Spirit Sea realm following behind him, he waved his hand and said, "Go after them." The 70 or 80 warriors of the Lu family were just ahead of him. As long as he could catch up with them, Second Patriarch believed he could kill all of them by himself. There were too few warriors of the Lu family. Once this group of people was killed, the outcome would be determined. Second Patriarch led the 5 to run at the top of his speed. After a while, he saw some shadows flashing in front of him. "Still want to run?" Second Patriarch shouted and sped up again. He found a man. When he got closer, he found it was Patriarch 9 of the Lu family. It was normal to see Patriarch 9. What was abnormal was that there was only Patriarch 9 in front of him. There was no one else. Luring the tiger away from the mountain, Second Patriarch felt something was wrong. His eyes flickered and he was about to turn around. However, Patriarch 9 suddenly stopped. He turned around, looked at Second Patriarch and said, "Zhang Hai, you old dog, are you scared?" The words, "Zhang Hai, you old dog," enraged Second Patriarch. He roared and rushed over. The long sword in his hand glowed in golden light. He released a streak of Xian energy through the air. Swish! Patriarch 9 moved and dodged to the left quickly. He dodged the Xian energy attack easily. His speed was as fast as a ghost. The 5 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm who were chasing after Zhang Hai were shocked. "What are you looking at? He just swallowed a wind pellet, didn't he?" Zhang Hai sneered. He was experienced and knowledgeable. He could see through it easily. He shouted to the warriors of the Spirit Sea realm, "Surround him and kill him." Patriarch 9 was one of the most powerful warriors of the Lu family. Since he wanted to die, Zhang Hai thought it was necessary for him to fulfill his wish. What Second Patriarch Zhang Hai and the warriors of the Spirit Sea realm of the Blood Evil Island didn't know was that in the bushes hundreds of feet away from them, a jade talisman in Lu Yi's hand suddenly broke. Patriarch 9 had sent a signal. Chapter 123. For today's fight, patriarchs of the Lu family held several meetings and worked out several strategies. The Blood Evil Brotherhood only sent 2 warriors of the Soul Pond realm to the island. This was the best outcome. As long as the 2 warriors of the Soul Pond realm could be killed, the Blood Evil Brotherhood would have a hard time to turn the situation around. The Lu family had 10 green dwarfs that were as powerful as warriors of the Soul Pond realm. To kill 2 warriors of the Soul Pond realm was a piece of cake. They just needed to distract the 2 and send 5 green dwarfs to kill them respectively. Patriarch 2 of the Blood Evil Brotherhood, Zhang Hai, had been chasing Patriarch 9 all the way here. His fate was sealed. Patriarch 9 took a wind pellet, which increased his speed to that of a warrior of the Soul Pond realm. He led Patriarch 2 to where Lu Yi was hiding. "Here they are." Sensing the noise in front of her and seeing Patriarch 2 following Patriarch 9, Lu Yi was so excited that her body was trembling. Through the grasses, she made sure it was Zhang Hai. She waved her hand and said, "Go and kill that golden-armored old man." Whoosh! The green dwarfs were alien races in the small world. They had been tamed by the Heaven Prison Chamber of Commerce for some time and could understand the language of the northern desert. A green light flashed on the 5 green dwarfs, and they shot out like 5 green arrows. Ambush! When Zhang Hai approached Lu Yi, he had already noticed something was wrong. Seeing the 5 streaks of green light, he finally understood what the Lu family was relying on. Whoosh! He threw a signal detonator into the air. He didn't send the signal to ask Xue Chou and the others to rescue him. Instead, he wanted to tell the Blood Evil Brotherhood that he was dead. That was right. The moment he saw the 5 green dwarfs, Zhang Hai knew he was doomed. He once went to the small world and fought against the green dwarfs, so he knew the strength of the alien races. If there were 2 or 3 of them, he might have a chance to escape. But 5, he would die for sure. Hoy! He was not willing to die like this. His beard and hair danced in the air. The golden armor on him glowed. He waved his sword in his hand, shooting out rays of sword light. Boom, 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 many trees were hit by the Xian energy and were cut in half. 2 green dwarfs were hit. However, the moment they were hit, green scales appeared on the bodies of the green dwarfs, which blocked Zhang Hai's Xian energy. The Xian energy only broke some scales. Go! Seeing Zhang Hai going crazy, Patriarch 9 rushed over like a gust of wind. He grabbed Lu Yi and quickly retreated. If Lu Yi didn't leave, she would be dragged to the grave by Zhang Hai. The 5 green dwarfs surrounded him. Their speed was so fast that one could only see streaks of green shadows, like 5 malicious ghosts. The 5 of them only had one method of attack, which was to rely on speed and the green claws in their hands. If there were only 1 or 2 green dwarfs, it would not be a problem. However, the continuous attack of 5 green dwarfs was something that Zhang Hai could not defend at all. One of the green dwarfs attacked and immediately retreated. He went to attack the green dwarf, but the other green dwarf attacked again. Ghostly shadows flashed all around him. In just a few moves, he had more than 10 scratches on his body. Zhang Hai roared furiously. He no longer attacked any green dwarf. Instead, he kept shooting out sword lights. His long sword danced in the air and swept around. He wanted to take 1 or 2 green dwarfs with him before he died. The effect of his attack was quite good. The arm of a green dwarf was hit, and the green scales on its arm were shattered. Then, the green dwarf was hit again. One of its arms was cut off. Green blood spilled all over the ground. The green dwarf cried out in pain. Swish, a green dwarf jumped onto a tree. Then, it dashed down in a flash and grabbed Zhang Hai's head. Zhang Hai's head exploded. Finally, he died. Not long after the signal detonator exploded in the air, Patriarch 2 of the Blood Evil Brotherhood was killed. The cruelty of the green dwarfs could be seen. Of course, if Zhang Hai were attacked by 5 warriors of the Soul Pond realm, he would have died before the signal detonator exploded. Patriarch 2. 5 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm rushed over from the distance. They happened to see Zhang Hai's head explode and his body fall down. The 5 warriors looked at the 5 green dwarfs in surprise, wondering what kind of monsters they were. Green dwarfs. One of them finally came to his senses. He waved his hand and said, "Retreat! It's too late." Patriarch 9 came back with Lu Yi. Lu Yi ordered with strong killing intent, "Kill them!" The 5 green dwarfs rushed over like a gust of wind. The 5 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm, who were just about to run, were scared out of their wit. Even Patriarch 2 of the Soul Pond realm was killed in an instant. Could they run away? Boom! A signal detonator exploded in the sky in the west. Patriarch 9 and Lu Yi looked at each other and smiled. It seemed that Patriarch 9 and Lu Li at the west had succeeded as well. Otherwise, Patriarch 3 of the Blood Evil Island wouldn't have released the signal detonator. Lu Yi gave 5 of the 10 green dwarfs to the other side. The green dwarfs would follow the orders of whoever had refined the jade talisman. It was easy to control them. "All of you attack," Patriarch 9 shouted. Dozens of people rushed over from the left. They were the warriors of the Lu family that were lying in ambush. The Patriarch of the Soul Pond realm of the Blood Evil Island was dead. They had 5 green dwarfs to clear the way. Even though there were nearly 1,000 warriors on the side of the Blood Evil Island, they were nothing to the Lu family warriors. Bang, 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 banged. The bodies of the 5 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm soon turned into minced meat under the sharp claws of the green dwarfs. Lu Yi controlled the 5 green dwarfs to rush towards the main force of the Blood Evil Island. In the dense forest at the west, there were still 5 green dwarfs under Lu Li's control. Lu Yi was right. Patriarch 7 used the wind pellet to lure Patriarch 3 of the Blood Evil Island over. Patriarch 3 was easily killed by the 5 green dwarfs controlled by Luli. Patriarch 7 rushed over with a group of people and shouted to Luli. Luli dragged his mighty heaven halberd upside down and held the 5 tokens in his other hand. He shouted to the 5 green dwarfs, "Follow me." He ran forward in strides, and the 5 green dwarfs followed him closely. The mist was so thick that nothing could be seen in the distance. However, Luli didn't mind it at all. Patriarch Lu had been probing with several top-level scouts. If Xueqiu and the others made any moves, Patriarch Lu would inform them as soon as possible. As long as Xueqiu didn't move, what was there to be afraid of? Soon, they got close to the main force of the Blood Evil Island. It was not as chaotic as before, but Patriarch 3 was lured away to be killed. Without a commander, these people didn't know whether to advance or retreat. "Someone is here." Hearing the sound of Luli running, several warriors of the Spirit Sea realm were on alert. They drew out their weapons, ready for battle. Swish, Luli took the lead and rushed over. Warriors of the Blood Evil Island were surprised to see Luli. Was this man an idiot? A man came to seek his own death. Kill! 3 warriors of the Spirit Sea realm rushed over. One of them was at the latter stage of the Spirit Sea realm, but Luli was not afraid at all. He released his bloodline skill at once. His eyes glowed with silver light. His eyes were as cold as a beast's, making people's hearts palpitate. Luli didn't use any fancy moves. When the warrior at the latter stage of the Spirit Sea realm rushed over, Luli swung his mighty heaven halberd and hacked at him. There was an inhibition formation in the mighty heaven halberd that could speed up his attack. After Luli released his bloodline skill, his strength was already horrifying. Naturally, his speed was fast. Before the warrior at the latter stage of the Spirit Sea realm could react, the mighty heaven halberd was already enlarging in his eyes. The speed of the halberd was so fast that the warrior had no way to dodge. The halberd was more than 6 feet long. He couldn't even fight back. All he could do was to defend with his saber. Luli didn't even know how strong he was now. He had reached the middle stage of the Spirit Sea realm, and his strength had increased a lot. Releasing his bloodline skill and the rolling thunder Xian skill could both increase his strength. The result was self-evident. With a muffled sound of collision, the saber of the warrior at the latter stage of the Spirit Sea realm was knocked away. Then his head was smashed by the halberd and exploded into a mist of blood. "Anyone who stands in my way will die," Luli roared. He continued to rush forward like a horrifying Xian beast. Chapter 124. Oh! The corner of Patriarch 7's mouth twitched. He saw a warrior at the latter stage of the Spirit Sea realm being hacked to death by Luli's halberd. Also, he was only at the later stage of the Spirit Sea realm. Did it mean that Luli could kill him with one move as well? "Kill all the warriors in blood-red armor and golden armor," Luli shouted. 5 green shadows flew over from behind him and dashed into the crowd in the form of 5 ferocious ghosts. Countless screams rang out as the cultivators were easily grabbed to death. The 7th Elder and the others were even more frightened when they saw this. Xian Wu Realm Warriors, go back. Spirit Sea Realm Warriors, follow Luli. The 7th Elder's original plan was to lead a group of people to attack, but now it seemed that there was no need for that. Also, if too many warriors of the Lu family rushed over, they might be mistakenly killed by the green dwarfs. He asked the warriors of the Xian Wu realm to step back and went after Luli with several warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. If they followed Luli, they would not be killed by the green dwarfs by mistake. The most important thing was that Luli was too ferocious. Be it warriors of the Xian Wu realm or the Spirit Sea realm, he could kill them with one halberd strike. Wherever his heaven-raising halberd passed through, there would be blurry corpses. There were no complete corpses left. Retreat. Quickly retreat from the island. Run. These green men are as powerful as warriors of the Soul Pond realm. We cannot stop them. Run, run! The fog was so thick that visibility was too low. Many people could only see a green shadow flashing by before they were decapitated. In such a short period of time, at least 100 people had died. The rest of the people were scared out of their wits and fled frantically. Several warriors of the Spirit Sea realm of the Blood Evil Island wanted to stop Luli and the Green Dwarfs for a while, but they realized that they could not. Luli was as brave as the Green Dwarf. His mighty heaven halberd was like the Grim Reaper's scythe. Luli was in a killing frenzy. With the 5 Green Dwarfs, he went on a rampage and killed anyone he saw. Patriarch 7 and the others followed Luli to their heart's content. It was as easy as slaughtering livestock. By the time Luli and the others rushed out of the forest, there were less than 300 or 400 of the 1,000 warriors of the Blood Evil Brotherhood left. More than half of the warriors of the Spirit Sea realm were either dead or injured. Lu-E was in a similar situation. Only 400 or 500 escaped. With the Green Dwarfs leading the way, it was too easy for Patriarch 9 and the others to slaughter. Hundreds of warriors of the Blood Evil Island were slaughtered easily. Xiao. Outside the western island, Xuecho led a group of people and rushed into the island. Before he could rush out of the forest, he saw countless people fleeing in panic. Their faces were filled with fear and terror. What's going on? Where's Third Elder? Xuecho roared furiously. When he saw the 2 signal flares, he felt something was wrong. With the battle prowess of the 2 elders, if they didn't encounter a situation where they would definitely die, why would they release the signal flare? I don't know. I don't know. Green Ghost Shadow. How terrifying. So many of us have died. Island Lord, let's leave quickly. Those green men are too terrifying. Let's retreat first, or we'll all die, a few people roared. Xuecho was so angry that he wanted to rush into the forest, but now he hesitated. He waited for a while and saw many people running away in fear. Finally, he decided to stay outside and see what was going on. The dense forest was filled with white fog. Who knew what was going on inside? After waiting for a while, no one had escaped from the forest. Xuecho glanced around and was shocked. Only 300 to 400 people escaped. Third Patriarch and many warriors of the Spirit Sea realm were nowhere to be seen. Did they all die in the battle? Rustle, rustle, rustle. A light sound of footsteps came from the forest. A young man dragging a halberd came out of the forest. He stood outside the forest, looked at them and said, Xuecho, you are the Island Lord of the Blood Evil Island. How can you just watch your men being killed? You are such a coward. Xuecho didn't have a deep impression of Luli. He just looked familiar. Xuebugue, who was next to him, shouted in rage, Father, he is Luli, kill him now. Kill me? Luli smiled coldly. He turned around and walked towards the forest. After he entered the forest, he looked back and said, Your father doesn't have the guts. He is a coward. Xuecho's one eye was about to burst into flames, but he forced himself not to lose his temper. He didn't go after Luli. Instead, he waved his hand and said, Go back to the battleship first. Retreat. Luli, just you wait. Xuebugue shouted with his teeth clenched. He was not an idiot. Soon, he figured it out. Today's situation was too strange. The situation was unclear. If Xuecho had brought his men with him, they might all be wiped out. After Xuecho left, Luli, Patriarch 7 and the others walked out of the forest. Patriarch 7 asked with confusion, Luli, why didn't you go after him with the Green Dwarfs? If you had gone out just now, you might have killed Xuecho. That is not possible. Luli shook his head and said, The terrain out there is open. Xuecho is too far away from the forest. If he had sent his men to intercept the Green Dwarfs at the risk of their lives, he could exhaust the Green Dwarfs easily by releasing his Xian energy. Once all the green dwarfs were dead, we would be dead as well. That makes sense, Patriarch 7 nodded. Just now, Luli tried to provoke Xueqiu, but Xueqiu didn't fall for it. If Xueqiu had gone into the forest, it would have been perfect. Oh no! Patriarch 7 suddenly remembered something. His expressions changed. He shouted, "Send a message right now. Tell our family patriarch not to be rash. Don't go after him with the green dwarfs out of the forest." On Lu Yi's side, there was another warrior of the Soul Pond realm outside the island. If Lu Yi acted rashly and rushed out with the green dwarfs, what if she was killed? The green dwarfs were the foundation of the Lu family. They could not be lost. A patriarch hurried to the east. Lu Li and Patriarch 7 dared not to leave. They kept a close watch on Xueqiu and the others. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, that patriarch of the Spirit Sea realm came back. He reported helplessly, "I am late. Our family patriarch and Patriarch 7 have gone out with the green dwarf. Even though we killed more than 300 warriors of the Blood Evil Island, but we lost 2 green dwarfs." What a fool! Patriarch 7 felt his heart aching. That was 100,000 Xian crystals. Luckily, only 2 green dwarfs were lost, which did not affect the overall situation. Swish! A scout ran over from the distance and reported, "Xueqiu has retreated. Patriarch 4 of the Blood Evil Island at the east has also retreated. It looks like they are going back to the Blood Evil Island." Several patriarchs looked at each other and then turned to Patriarch 7. One of them asked, "Patriarch 7, what should we do? Should we bring someone with us and kill our way to the Blood Evil Island?" Patriarch 7 was tempted. They still had 8 green dwarfs. If all the patriarchs charged together and killed Xueqiu and the other 2 patriarchs, the Blood Evil Island would be replaced by the Lu family in the future. "If you want to go, you go. I am not going." Lu Li poured cold water on the idea. He said coldly, "If you want to court death, then go." "Lu Li, what do you mean?" One patriarch got angry at once. Patriarch 7, on the other hand, calmed down. He waved his hand to stop the patriarch from going on. Patriarch 7 thought about it and nodded. Lu Li is right. The Blood Evil Island has been under Xueqiu's management for many years. He must have set up all kinds of inhibition formations. If we enter the Blood Evil Island rashly, all kinds of accidents may happen. It is true that the green dwarfs are powerful, but didn't we kill 2 of them at the east as well? Once the green dwarfs are dead, we will be doomed. That patriarch became anxious and asked, "Then what should we do? Our trump card has been exposed. Xueqiu will find a way to break it. Do we have no choice but to sit and wait for our doom?" Chapter 125. In just an hour, Patriarch Lu had figured out the situation. Xueqiu and the others had all returned to the Blood Evil Island. The result of the battle was out. Complete victory. Apart from the 2 green dwarfs that died in the end, the others didn't suffer too much loss. The Lu family lost more than 30 warriors and a patriarch of the Spirit Sea realm. Compared to the loss of the Blood Evil Island, it was not worth mentioning. A group of patriarchs gathered together to discuss how to fight the next battle. The patriarchs all agreed to Patriarch 7's suggestion. They should pursue the Blood Evil Island and act according to circumstances. Lu Li wanted to tell them not to advance rashly, but staying at the Blood Evil Island was not a solution either. He couldn't come up with a better plan after much deliberation, so he kept silent. The time for releasing his bloodline skill had come to an end. He was very weak now and he felt drowsy. However, the situation was not clear. How could he fall asleep like this? He had to hold on. After some discussion, Patriarch 7 decided to bring all the warriors of the Spirit Sea realm and some of the Xian Wu realm of the Lu family and 8 green dwarfs to the Blood Evil Island and act according to circumstances. As the main force of the Lu family, Lu Li was naturally asked to go with the others. He couldn't disobey them. He made up his mind and followed them on 2 battleships towards the Blood Evil Island. He sat in the cabin of the battleship with his eyes closed, recovering his physical and spiritual energy that he had consumed too much. The Lu family turned out in full force this time. All the warriors of the Spirit Sea realm and more than half of the Xian Wu realm were dispatched. Of course, more than half were less than 100. The number of warriors of the Lu family was too few. Even though there were only slightly more than 100 warriors in total, everyone of the Lu family was excited. As long as the powerful warriors of the Blood Evil Brotherhood were eliminated, the Lu family would be able to take control of the Blood Evil Island. With such a large territory and blood caterpillar grasses, the Lu family could develop rapidly and gain a firm foothold at the Thousand Island Lake. The Blood Evil Island was quiet. When the 2 battleships arrived outside of the Blood Evil Island, they found nobody at the dock. All the battleships were gone. They circled around the Blood Evil Island and didn't see a single scout of the Blood Evil Brotherhood. They circled around the Blood Evil Island several times but still didn't see anybody. The Lu family patriarchs were a bit uneasy. They had thought that they could attack or retreat at will outside of the island. Now they found it difficult to advance or retreat. Go in. The Blood Evil Island was their territory. The Blood Evil Brotherhood had 1 or 2,000 warriors and 3 warriors of the Soul Pond realm. Who knew what would happen after they entered? Retreat? Everyone was indignant. Third Brother Lu, bring some men to investigate. Be careful. In the end, the 7th Elder gave the order to investigate the situation first. Patriarch Lu set out with 5 of the best scouts of the Lu family. They sneaked toward the Blood Evil Fortress from a small hill. Everyone anchored the warship at the pier and quietly waited for the result of the investigation. An hour later, a figure flew over from afar with a bitter expression. Third Brother Lu, what's going on? Why are you the only one back? Patriarch 7 asked when the man got on the boat. Patriarch Lu, who had just returned, shook his head and sighed. There are too many outsiders in the Blood Evil Castle. Their chief patriarch took action in person. If I hadn't run fast enough, I'm afraid I wouldn't have made it back. Without investigating the situation, who would dare to act rashly? Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Time passed by bit. 2 hours later, Xueqiu walked over with 2 warriors of the Soul Pond realm and hundreds of people on the street by the dock. Retreat 1,000 feet and prepare for battle. Patriarch 7 shouted. Everyone unsheathed their weapons and the battleship retreated quickly. Patriarch 7, Patriarch 9 and Lu Yi stood on the deck of the battleship. They looked at Xueqiu and the others who were walking over slowly with vigilance. It had been almost 4 hours. Lu Li hadn't recovered yet, but he was not so tired now. He didn't come out. He was still sitting in the cabin with his legs crossed. Xueqiu and the 2 patriarchs of the Soul Pond realm didn't walk in the front. There were hundreds of people blocking their way. Clearly, they were afraid of sneak attacks from the Green Dwarf. On the open ground in front of the dock, Xueqiu waved his hand. Everyone stopped. Xueqiu stared at Patriarch 7 and shouted in a deep voice, Brother Shanha, we have taken in the Lu family. Is this how you treat us? Patriarch 7 was embarrassed. There was no right or wrong in this. The Lu family was ungrateful, but the Blood Evil Island was also up to no good. From the beginning, they wanted to annex the Lu family. Xuebuhui almost raped Lu Yi. Seeing that the Lu family could grow high-quality blood caterpillar fruits, the Blood Evil Island started a war at once. Therefore, it was not wrong to stand on either side. Both forces wanted to grow. In order not to be destroyed and to have greater development, any decision was right. Patriarch 7 smiled embarrassedly. He cupped his fists and said, Brother Xue, let's not talk about this. For the sake of the Lu family, Shanha was forced to do many things. How about this? You leave the Blood Evil Island, and I promise I will not be your enemy again. Also, I will give you 1 million Xian crystals a year. What do you think? 1 million Xian crystals. Not only the Lu family, but also the Blood Evil Island was in an uproar. The price offered by Patriarch 7 shocked many people. 1 million Xian crystals was not a small number even for the Blood Evil Island. However, Lu Yi and the others thought about it. If the Lu family could get the Blood Evil Island, how many high-quality blood caterpillar fruits could they grow? It would not be a problem to make several million Xian crystals a year. So what if they gave 1 million to the Blood Evil Brotherhood? Xueqiu kept silent. After a while, he started to talk with the 2 patriarchs again. After the time it took for 3 incense sticks to burn, Xueqiu turned around and said, "Brother Shanhe, how about this? We will still give you the Blood Dragon Island. We can also give you the 3 nearby islands. You give us 1 million Xian crystals a year. From now on, we will live in peace and mind our own business." Xueqiu seemed to be afraid of the Green Dwarf. He didn't want to continue the war and wanted to make peace. Patriarch 7 and Patriarch 9 looked at each other. Their eyes glowed. As a matter of fact, they didn't want to continue the war either. The Lu family needed time to develop. As long as they could stall for some time, the Lu family could buy more green dwarfs. They could use resources to produce a large batch of warriors of the Spirit Sea realm. The Lu family could develop and eventually gain a firm foothold at the Thousand Island Lake. Patriarch 7 and the other patriarchs discussed for a while. Finally, Patriarch 7 made up his mind. He looked at Xueqiu and said, "Brother Xue, lend us the Blood Evil Island for 1 year. You can have the other islands. Every month, we will give you 100,000 Xian crystals. In this way, both sides can develop quickly. After 1 year, we will all leave the Blood Evil Island. We will go and fight for the other islands with magma. We can also make a blood oath. If we break it, we will die a horrible death." Patriarch 7's offer was sincere, which was beneficial to the Lu family. If the Blood Evil Island was given to the Lu family for 1 year, the Lu family could earn enough Xian crystals to buy dozens of green dwarf. By then, they could easily conquer any island with magma. As expected, Xueqiu seemed to be tempted. Xueqiu's eyes flickered. He said he could think about it, but he needed to gather all the patriarchs of the family for a discussion. He asked the Lu family to give him 2 hours. Xueqiu went back with a group of people. The patriarchs of the Lu family were overjoyed. Their eyes were filled with passion. All they could think about was how the Lu family would develop after they got the Blood Evil Island, how to expand the farm and plant more blood caterpillar fruits. Lu Yi was excited. She immediately went into the cabin to share the good news with Lu Li. Lu Li was in a better state of mind. He was silent after he heard Lu Yi's story. After thinking for the time it took for 1 incense stick to burn, he suddenly opened his eyes and shouted, "A bunch of idiots. You have been fooled. Xueqiu is just stalling." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.